Count them, 2 hits on the board. In Seattle, their bats were alive, but Showalter's ball club suffering their second loss in a row. Tonight, to put a stop to it, the pitcher was turned into the ace. Chris Tillman on the mound after his 6th win. Next. It's the Orioles on Masson, and we welcome you to Birdland. And no, it is not raining, and the Seattle Mariners are here for Game 2 of this 3-game set. And as they say around baseball, you turn the page. Sometimes you do so reluctantly when you're doing well, but when you get shut out in a ball game like last night for the Orioles, you turn the page as quickly as you can, come right back in, and a whole new day. And for the Orioles, they could not have a better stopper on the mound than the man who's going to be out there tonight. Chris Tillman, the numbers he's putting up compared to last year, one of the great turnarounds right now in Major League Baseball. In the same number of starts, 8. These are the numbers from last year, 2 and 5, 5 and 1. Look at the ERA, all the way from 6.1 to 2.58. The innings pitched about the same, doing a much better job in the strikeout to walk ratio, and the whip numbers better. But Showalter said it's all about his stuff. But is it a mechanical thing or a mental thing?
When you're confident that certain things are going to be there every time you go out there, it breeds a lot of, you're waiting for something good to happen, as opposed to, boy, I wonder what I'm going to be featuring today. You know, he knows, you know, when he's had to go get a fastball, he's been able to go get it. Sometimes last year he couldn't go get it.
Well, Mike Bordick, he's gone out and got it so far this year.
Yeah, a lot of weapons Chris Tillman is featuring this season. Fastball velocity's up, and he's got it right from the get-go. You're going to see his fastball 92, 93 to start the ball game. A lot of starts last year would start in the high 80s, and then maybe if he made it through the 5th inning, you'd see it touch 94, 95. Consistent velocity at a high level right now for Chris Tillman. But he's got a great changeup, and he has this cutter hybrid slider kind of hybrid type pitch that has become his bread and butter. It's you'll see his 12-6 big curveball, but he's got a nice little slider that has a good drop at the end. Beautiful pitch for him, and he throws it hard. So it's in between his changeup and fastball, and I think that's really been the huge key to his success.
Mike, we often talk about games like last night. They're going to happen. When you lose big, is it easier for a player to come back than it is when you lose the 1-0 game?
I think so. I think a loss is a loss, but when you have a big loss like last night and the bats didn't show up, I think collectively the team just steps back and says, all right, let's kind of take a deep breath and come back out tomorrow, turn the page as quickly as possible, and get on with it.
All right, the Orioles are ready to go. So are we. Great to have you with us as Game 2 about to get underway. And Brooks Robinson. Ah, yes. We'll talk about him tonight. And is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by the Bob Bell Automotive Group, driven to be the best. Celebrates a birthday today. We will talk about him all night because we can never talk too much about Brooksy. As we get set to go under cloudy skies, lights on, taking effect here. And here's the lineup for Seattle. It'll be Aoki, Smith, and CANO, Cruz, Seager, and Lynn, Iannetta, Marte, and Martin. He continues his onslaught here at Camden Yards, he being Robinson Cano with those career numbers.
Now let's take a look at Chris Tillman's pitch arsenal this season, and a very good one indeed. The fastball 54%, rushing up there in the low to mid-90s. He can two-seam it with a little sink. He can cut it as well. Breaking ball, the 12-6 curve, and also the slider. It's become a big-time pitch, and the straight change off that heater has worked very well for him in his 8 starts. 5 wins, 2.58 earned run average, and how about the 1 home run given up in his 45 1/3 innings of work this year, holding opponents down to that 217 batting average. Tillman has emerged as this team's ace, and it looks like the rest of the rotation is kind of jumping on board.
For Tillman here at home, he's perfect on the year. He is 4-0. He has a tremendous ERA of 1.89 in home games this season. So he's got that going for him. And he has never lost to the team that originally drafted him. Against the Seattle Mariners, his record is 6-0 with an ERA of 2.98.
Yeah, pretty good game for Chris Tillman to be starting. Confidence very high against the Mariners. Hasn't really had a bad outing against them. Last year, they put some runs on the board at the end of the year, but you know, when his confidence is going as it is right now, and he's going against a team he's had success against, you know, he's feeling good about this start, especially after a tough loss for the Orioles last night.
What he'd like to do is get through that first inning, as that has been a problem inning. Hitters are 13 for 35. That's a 371 batting average in the first inning. And Chris has given up 6 first inning runs, the most in any inning pitched. We'll see what he does with it here. Aoki leads it off, a 1 for 5 in the ball game last night, and we are underway in game 2. That'll be taken for a strike. Rob Drake, our home plate umpire, Carlos Torres, Sam Holbrook, and Jerry Davis, the crew chief, making up this crew for the series. Aoki with the 0-1 will pop that one up. Shortstop with the angle on it. And Machado will come over in foul territory and put it away.
Take a look at the Orioles defense after Manny chasing down that little soft pop-up. Kim getting the start in left field. Jones out in center. And Rickard, after a fine defensive game last night, gets the start in right field. Machado and Scope, the double play combination. Pedro Alvarez getting the start at third with Davis over at first. And Matt Wieters behind the plate. Take a look at Joey Rickard taking some photos with the fans and then flashing the leather. Great defense in right field last night. Taking Iannetta's hits away on the wall there. Sure extra base hit. A beautiful play. He ranged probably 30-40 yards on that ball, and then to time it jumping up.
He's really playing right field well. We've mentioned how tough that can be here with that wall, that corner. He's had it covered. Here is Smith. Speaking of right field plays, but 8 putouts last night in right field. He caught everything, no matter where it was. If it was somewhere on the right side, he was over there to get it. And that may be rain you're looking at, but that's somewhere else. We are not going to talk about that. We refuse to see rain. Pitch is taken away for a ball. We were joking before the game. We often talk about that window, in quotes, where you have rainstorms and everybody says there's going to be a window where you're going to be able to get the game in. So we're reversing the logic. Tonight we have a window for the rain. There'll be a 10-minute window for rain, and then the rest of the night will be okay. A breaking ball, and that will miss down low. It has not rained in downtown Baltimore all day. This is the first rain. It's been cloudy all day, but it hasn't rained here. It's 66 degrees. And if you insist on showing that, all right, it's raining. Here's the 2-1 delivery by Tillman, and a ground ball down to first. It'll back Davis up. He'll get to the bag in time. Smith is retired, 2 away. Our Jeep inside the numbers regarding the Orioles starter.
Now, opponent average by situation this season with the bases empty, 247. You get some runners on base, and he really starts to bear down. 184 batting average with runners on and runners in scoring position. Very good number, 227. Really finding a way to minimize the damage, and we'll see some good movement on his fastball, and that is a key. Nice little cutter there to get Smith on the weak ground ball.
Robinson Cano, the damage done in the ball game last night in the middle of the order. 10-0 win. The Orioles were out hit 12-2 in the game, and Cano at a 3-for-4 with a couple of RBIs. He has hit Tillman hard. Orioles put the shift on in the infield. It's there for a strike. He is 14-for-31 with 2 home runs off Chris Tillman in his career. He showed you the numbers he has against the Orioles, and of course here at Camden Yards, this is his highest average of any ballpark he plays in has been set right here. Pitch will miss inside a bit. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Oh, great fastball, though, just missing on that inside corner, and that's going to be the key. Moving the pitches around. Cano, when he's hot, he can use the whole field. You saw his power zone covers basically the whole strike zone. Saw him flip the ball the other way last night and also turn on some pitches.
And he'll go the other way with this one to left field. Kim is going back. Wind blowing in a bit. Shy of the warning track. He will put it away. So that's it for the first inning. No runs in this one. 1, 2, 3. Baltimore area, and it continues here tonight. Take a look at the starting lineup, brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. Rickard, Machado, and Jones, Davis, Trumbo, and Wieters, Alvarez, Scope, and Kim. For Joey Rickard at home this season, really strong numbers.
Now let's take a look at Taijuan Walker's pitch arsenal this season. The fastball, it is a good one, 66% of the time. 92-98, and it is easy cheese. Big body here, 6'4", 235. He's got a real good breaking ball as well. Doesn't use it as much as his split finger, though. That's his change. And he goes to lefty and righty. We'll see the split finger. Off to a good start. 2.63 earned run average. Really kind of a carryover from last season, where he found the groove. This guy is a strikeout pitcher. He's averaging up over 9 strikeouts per game, and he doesn't walk anybody.
No, he's only 23 years old. Rickard will take the pitch. It'll be down low for a ball. Joey in that leadoff spot had the 0 for 3. There were lots of lows in the ball game last night, with the Orioles getting only a couple of hits. Walker against the Orioles does not have a record. This is his 3rd career start against the Orioles. He has a 5.59 ERA. We'll see what he does tonight. Most of the Orioles in the lineup, very little experience facing this young pitcher. That will come in on the inside corner for a strike, and Rickard will take it to 2 balls and 1 strike. Walker out of Shreveport, Louisiana, was shut down last season in the start of September just because of the number of innings pitched. Ground ball to the middle, and that's going to be a base hit. So Rickard is on. Martin comes in to get it, and the Orioles have the leadoff man on base.
We're going to take a look at the Mariners defense behind Walker, Aoki, Martin, and Smith in the Mariners outfield. Marte at short and Cano at second base. Seager and Lind on the corners, and the veteran backstop Iannetta. The 2nd game in a row.
That'll bring Manny to the plate. The Orioles are trying to avoid a 3-game losing streak that has only happened once this season. They lost 3 in a row in late April and trying to stay away from that here in this one. The Orioles come in with a half-game lead over the Red Sox, who lost to Kansas City in the first game of 2 today, 3-2. KC beat Boston, so the Orioles up a half a game in the Red Sox. Pops that one up to third base. Seager, the wind will blow it in a little bit. And he's got it, and Manny Machado is retired. So 1 down here in the first. Machado will head back, going after the first pitch. Adam Jones coming up. Adam has seen Walker in more at bats than any other Oriole. He is 1 for 6 against Taijuan Walker. And Adam, of course, has been on a tear. Shut down last night with the 0 for 3, but having an excellent month of May. And that, of course, great news for the Orioles. Rickard on at first base. Adam hitting .304 this month. Walker will keep an eye on Rickard over there. Stolen bases, 2 for 2 against Walker in the previous 7 starts. And Rickard will test him a little bit as he walks off another half step. Lind holding the bag on him. Ooh, how about the movement on that one?
A nice pitch, good cutter right there. Take a look at Walker's opponent average by situation. Bases empty, 225. Very comfortable with nobody on. But when runners get on, see that average start to climb up. You might think that's youth. You know, only 23 years old. The pressure starts to mount, tries too hard, and those numbers start to climb. The Orioles, really offensively, their game plan certainly work Walker, see what he's featuring, then just try to get into his head, put some pressure on him, get on base. You saw that pickoff move. Rickard extending the lead a little bit. Just try to shake his nerves a little bit.
Walker, if he qualified with innings pitched, and he's just shy of it, would have the 8th best ERA in the American League at 2.63. Tillman does qualify, and Tillman is 7th in ERA. Adam off the end of the bat, so you got 2 pitchers who have pitched very well going against one another in this game. Adam on a little walk here with a 1-ball 2-strike count.
A lot of people in Seattle thinking that Walker is heir apparent to King Felix, taking the crown over as Felix starts to get up in age. This youngster's got that arm to take over.
1-2 count. Rickard has shortened the lead over there in the throw over. Orioles, of course, will not see Felix Hernandez as he pitched the game on Sunday and will not be in the rotation for these 3 games. The concern on King Felix is the velocity is down, and he's kind of having to reinvent himself with more off-speed pitches. Adam gets one inside off the fist, drives it deep left field at the wall, up, and a fine catch made by Martin, and he gets it in a hurry, and back goes Rickard. Well played, really well by Martin. Right, probably would have been off the top of the wall and foot down from a home run.
Well, good swing by Adam Jones. He has been heating up, and off the bat thought this one might end up in the Orioles bullpen, but Martin keeps an eye on it. Good job tracking the ball, not giving up at all. Coming down on the 2nd out.
Nice play. He called Aoki off in a hurry. The left fielder was also over there, but Martin went over to get it. That's a big play early in the game. That'll bring Chris Davis up. They go into the shift. Chris had a 1 for 2 last night, and that's what he is against Walker. 1 for 2. And going for the long ball on that one. A swing and a miss and a strike. Chris here at Camden Yards, trying to find that right center field area where he drives the baseball a lot and has taken the ball the other way the last couple of seasons for long balls to left. He will take the pitch inside here. Davis so far this season hitting .213 at home, 4 home runs, .310 on the road, and 5 home runs.
Now you see Davis's home runs by direction there. Equally distributed. Nice to see the 3 to center field. That means he's kind of locked in.
Pick off, not in time. Lynn diving out to get it as Rickard dove back into the bag. And a 1-ball 2-strike count. Smile from Iannetta. May have caught Lynn by surprise down there.
A little secondary lead, and Iannetta trying to back pick Joey Rickard. Nice job keeping the eyes on the catcher there, Rickard.
Looks over to Scott Service, manager. He knows a bit about catching. 1-2, runner goes. Davis takes it, no throw. It doesn't matter. Strike called, and the first strikeout will end the inning. No runs on one hit, no errors, and one left on base, scoreless after one. Look forward to Miller time later in our ball game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Chris Tillman will get his former teammate Nelson Cruz coming up against him to lead off the second inning. Seager and then Lynn will come to the plate. Since leaving the Orioles, Nelson Cruz is 10 for 20, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs in 6 games against the Orioles. And he's continued to put up big numbers here in this ballpark, as he did when he played here, both as this being his home yard and a visitor. Shift is on. Infield, they give him that middle and the right side. 1-0 count on Cruz. And he will foul that one the other way.
I think the Orioles thinking, okay, play Nelson Cruz on the shift. You see his power zone pretty much center cut and then expanded into the inner third and outer third, top and bottom as well. So power all over the strike zone. The Orioles pull, hoping that Cruz tries to pull Chris Tillman. Give him the shot to the right field. Okay, we'll give you the single, but we don't want to give you the extra bases.
Good fastball up and away. Couldn't catch up to that. 1 ball, 2 strike count from Tillman.
And take a look at the Mercedes pitch track here. A lot of life on his fastball up at the top of the zone. Only 92 miles an hour here at the beginning part of the ball game. But he's so big, the ball appears to rise.
1-2 delivery, and Cruz on one that drops off the table. A strikeout victim, so Tillman gets his first K.
A good breaking ball here. Throwing it hard. This is more that slider coming in out of the hand very aggressively, 85 miles an hour. So Cruz thinking it's a fastball. That's why he's had so much success with that pitch. It just has nice late tilt at the end, getting Cruz to swing through.
That'll bring Seager to the plate. Kyle Seager on a run, 2 for 4, a home run, 3 RBIs in the ball game last night. Shows bunt. He has the shift on, so he was looking at third. Maryland Live inside the numbers.
Now the O's pitchers batting average allowed 219 against right-handed hitters, but the lefties at 289 batting average. That's worst in Major League Baseball. The largest difference at .070. So the Orioles right-handed rotation has got to find a way to get to the lefties. Tillman's done a nice job against lefties, holding them to the 256 batting average. And I think that slider has helped. A great weapon against both lefties and righties.
Our Maryland Live Casino inside the numbers. There you see Seager, what he's done with that 300 batting average against the right-handers. Right-handers hitting only a .177 off Tillman. And that one home run we were talking about a year ago, that was Evan Longoria, right-handed batter who hit the home run off Chris Tillman back on April 8, and that was in the first inning. There hasn't been another one since. 3-0 pitch on the way. Careful with him. It'll be a strike up and in. Tillman right now, counting the first inning of this game, has had 173 consecutive innings without allowing a home run, or batter's face, sorry, batter's face, and that will be a walk. So he surrenders the free pass here with one away in the second inning. Celebrate Memorial Day here at the Yard when the Birds return home on Monday, May 30. Take on the Red Sox at 1:35. All fans will get the Orioles Memorial Day t-shirt. Kick off the unofficial start of summer, maybe even the beginning of spring. Good seats still remain. For tickets, Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD. Here is Adam Lynn. Lynn's got a 5-game hit streak and a solid number against Tillman. 10 for 33. All those at-bats, a lot of them coming when Lynn was playing with Toronto. Starts him out with that strike up in the strike zone and away.
Well, Chris Tillman has so many weapons. He doesn't have to tip his hat here to this Mariners lineup. The early part of the game, you're seeing a lot of curves and the four-seam fastball. If you have to throw the change, I'd be saving that for the middle part of the game.
0-1 delivery on the way. That is a way pitchers try and get deeper into a ball game in this day and age. If you can use a pitch primarily through the first time through the order and not show the opponent what else you got a much better chance of staying late.
Yeah, well, definitely. And I think you know, a lot of pitchers, they'll like to get the feel for everything right out of the gate, but you know, Tillman's a veteran now. He knows how to work his pitches. We've seen the success here at the start of this season. He's had success in the past, and I think just the mindset coming in and working with Wieters is that, okay, establish your fastball, get the right kind of movement, cut it, two-seam it. You know, see if you can command the breaking ball early in the game. Then as the game progresses and you go through second and third time through, that's when you start featuring that change, maybe a few more cutters in there.
1-2 with the runner at first base. Lynn will swing and a pitch away. He had to. He complained about the second call, knowing that the strike zone is going to be a strikeout there. He couldn't let it go by.
Now, how about this fastball? 94 miles an hour. Best fastball of the game so far for Tillman. And just driving it downhill, down and away. Very clean, repeatable delivery here. Look at the extension. And then boom, nice turn and follow through from Tillman. That is a dart down and away to get Lind.
So a couple of strikeouts in the inning, 2 down. Seager still on at first base, and here's Iannetta. Iannetta will get a base hit into right field. Seager on contact will head over to third. Joey Rickard will get it back in, and there is the first hit. Iannetta picks it up, and with 2 down, the Mariners cover the corners here in the second inning. I think he broke his bat on that one.
Yeah,
too.
Definitely a broken bat base hit there. Chris Tillman, one thing about Tillman this year, his soft contact numbers are up. They are not hitting the ball as well. Look at that. Great movement, getting it off the end of the bat, the exploding bat trick. And it goes down as a single against Tillman, but another good pitch with great late movement.
So first and third. Chris has been good getting outs in these situations, as we showed you. Runner in scoring position number for Tillman against him, 227. And that number is well below the average. The average coming into today in the American League with runners in scoring position is 255. 2 down, 2 on, and a check swing that'll come back off the mask and into the screen. Marte talking to himself. Could tell Marte really didn't want to go after that pitch, but it was too late.
All right, he kind of made up his mind. Looked like loading up, thinking, okay, I'm going to jump on first pitch fastball. And a lot of times the last thing you think about is what you do. So he says, I'm going to be on a fastball, and it really didn't matter where it was, and he gets caught in between there to fall behind.
0-1 count. Tillman's delivery. These left-handers, he's keeping that pitch up and away, and it's foul tipped into the mitt, and an 0-2 count. He may have some help from Rod Drake, the home plate umpire. By tradition, generally favors the pitchers on the strike zone. Close calls will generally go the pitcher's way, so you get a little room if you're on the mound to test just how far in or out you can go and still get a strike. 0-2, 2 down, and the check swing.
A good try there. Just when you see his breaking balls, notice the difference in velocities. That curve ball comes in about 6-7 miles an hour slower than that slider, throwing it very hard to make it look like the fastball coming out of his hand.
1-2, first and third occupied. Tillman's delivery to him and will just miss. Marte's kind of the opposite of most of his teammates. He's hitting .292 at Safeco Field at home and .256 on the road. Most of the hitters for the Seattle team have big road numbers. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Marte waits on it, and he'll go to short. That's got spin. Scope will come to second base. Machado gets it there, and that'll do it. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and a couple left on. Trumbo leads it off when we come back. From Glenn Burney, 500 for being selected, 500 for every Orioles home run hit tonight. Play Home Run Rich's Scratch Offs, win up to $50,000. Enter non-winning tickets for a chance to be the contestant of the game. Visit mdlottery.com/baseball. Graduation time all around the city, and we'll assume she deserves congratulations as a graduate.
Yeah.
On the other hand, she may have stopped at the Goodwill store and found a nice hat to wear that fit the season. Nice stickers on top too. It's up by Roland Park the other day for lunch. Graduating everywhere. They were standing on top of steps and buildings and statues and with the gowns on and getting pictures taken that time of year. Pitch is taken for a strike. Trumbo leading it off. DH. And an 0 for 4 in the ball game last night. Oh, mercy! Way back left field, and goodbye home run. Trumbo delivers a long ball, and the Orioles are on the board.
Mark Trumbo has been a force in the middle of this Orioles lineup. Get by Chris Davis, and here you go. Trumbo just raking 12th home run of the season. Not many mistakes make it by his bat.
Trumbo vying for the #1 spot, 412 feet on that one. Darwin Floor, our lottery contestant, that didn't take long. There's 500 for you right there off the bat of Trumbo.
Well, one thing Walker's been working on, command of his breaking ball. And this is one of those just kind of get me over breaking balls to try to steal a strike, and Trumbo waiting on it and destroys it to left field.
He does destroy a baseball.
Ooh, 105 off the bat.
You can hear it. It has that sound that great hitters, power hitters have. 0-2 delivery. Look out. Matt Wieters up and in. Walker, that's the second home run he's given up to right-handed batters. The fifth he has surrendered overall.
After a couple pitches away, trying to establish that inside corner, just lets it fly up there.
1-2 delivery. That will be fouled right straight back. And a pretty good cut by Matt Wieters. Matt getting one of the hits in the ball game last night, going 1 for 3. He and Chris Davis picked up the 2 hits. Trumbo's taking care of the 0 for he had last night in a hurry. 5 home runs here at Camden Yards, 7 on the road. 1-2 pitch on the way, foul back. It was funny because Trumbo was around the cage today. He was asking me, he says, who's hitting all the home runs anyway? How come we're not number 1? And I said, well, you are number 1 coming into play, but I said it's been going back and forth because you're hitting home runs, Seattle's hitting home runs, Tampa Bay hitting home runs, tied with the Orioles starting the day.
Yeah, how about Tampa?
So I think he was concerned about that and decided he needed to take care of that right away, and obviously did. Yeah, Tampa, how about that?
Yeah, well, you know, we had talked about them in spring training, some of the moves they...
Oh, there's one way back in right field. The flag caught, and goodbye home run back to back. Trumbo and Wieters, and the Orioles have a 2-0 lead.
After brushing Matt Wieters back off the plate on an inside fastball, he goes right back in there, missing his spot. And Wieters makes him pay up on the flat court. The bomb.
366 feet away. Matt Wieters, 3rd home run, 12th RBI. And the Orioles go back to back and have a 2-0 lead. Trumbo and Wieters with the long balls. And both of them were really tagged. Shift put on here, and the pitch taken for a ball.
We'll take a look at Iannetta setting up down and away. Oops, how about inner third on this fastball? Wieters just missed one earlier in the bat. Didn't miss that one.
Grounder comes right back to the mound. Alvarez will be thrown out, and there's the first out of the inning. The Orioles now have 7 back-to-back home runs. Davis, Trumbo, Machado, Jones, Alvarez, Scope, Davis, Trumbo, Scope, Reimold, and Reimold, Machado, and now you can add to that Trumbo and Wieters. That's a lot of back-to-back home runs for this early in the season. And for Dower and Floor, he hopes they have 9 back-to-back home runs in the ball game, since he gets 500 for every one as our Maryland lottery contestant. And the pitch taken away by Jonathan Scope. Jonathan with the 0 for 3 in the ball game last night. He'll be followed by Kim. 1-0 delivery, and that will be a strike taken at the knees.
Well, the scary part about this Orioles lineup hasn't even started warming up around here, and they're still knocking the ball out of the yard.
1-1 pitch on the way, leaned out, looked at it. So the Orioles recapture the #1 spot in home runs in the American League with the back-to-back homers here off Walker. 2-1 delivery. Scope will take it. Again, it's going to be down low, and he falls behind on Scope. A 3-ball, 1-strike count. So how does the young 23-year-old in his 8th start of the year react after you have the long balls hit off you here in the 2nd inning? 3-1 pitch. Scope going after a good pitch, moving away and down. 3-2.
A nasty cutter there. Throws it hard, 88 miles an hour. Take a look at this late movement. Perfectly placed. You know, that might have been his split finger. He throws it hard, and that's a good drop at the end. I think that's a split finger 88 right there.
And he will get the strikeout. Jonathan Scope is retired. 2nd K of the ball game. 2 down.
Doubled up with that pitch. A little cutter. There it is. Bottom of the zone. About the same as the pitch prior. Good late movement. Good scope out in front and over the top.
So 2 down. Young-Soo Kim came on late in the game, had an 0 for 1 ball game yesterday. So Kim gets a chance. 12th game he's appeared in. Hitting .393 with that 11 for 28. 1 double. That's his extra base hit, and he has a couple of RBIs. 1-1 delivery, and that'll be down to first base. Played on the hop by Lind, who will go to the bag and put it away. But the Orioles now lead in home runs in the American League as they have 56. This one delivered by Trumbo, his 12th, and 57 Wieters, his 3rd, and a 2-0 lead. Blog recap. Rock Cabaco thoughts on Jimenez, Ryan Mattis, and McFarland. For Steve Molesky, Givens talks strikeouts and his numbers against lefties. And for Mark Zuckerman, the slumping Nats offense. What's their salvation? Can it come from within? You'll find it all. It's brought to you by PNC Bank for the Achiever in you. Masson's Sports.com blog. So Tillman staked to the lead 2-0. With the back-to-back home runs in the second inning. Martin, number 9 hitter, will lead it off. Shows bunt. That brings Alvarez in on the charge. Pedro Alvarez getting the start at third base for the Orioles. This will be his 3rd start there. And the pitch up and away. And Alvarez is staying in on Leonys Martin, who's got some speed. Hitting just .202. Here's Alvarez. Go ahead, bunt. 2-0. That's up high. Aoki and then Smith at the top of the order. Seattle, they've got a 1.5 game lead over Texas now, as Texas lost to Oakland today 8-1. Rio deliveries there for his strike. So 2 division leaders back in that number 1 spot, with Kansas City beating Boston 3-2 today. Scott Service's team taking advantage of the Texas loss. 3-1 pitch. Drilled it. That's out near the wall in right field. Does it have the distance? It does. Goodbye, home run. So it's going to be one of those nights. Martin delivers the long ball. A line shot just high enough to get up over the scoreboard. Number 6 and his 14th RBI.
One thing that has hurt Tillman, falling behind hitters here at 3-1 count. He's got to come to him with the heater. Center cut, hit it if you can, and he doesn't miss it. Tillman challenging the number 9 hitter. He makes him pay. Coming into this ball game, lowest home runs per 9 innings. Well, there's Chris Tillman, .20. He had only given up 1 home run in 45 1/3 innings before that home run by Martin.
That's our Express Care stat. Pitch will be taken down low. Express Care, a LifeBridge health partner. For locations, visit whywaitintheer.com. 1-0 count. Now a 2-1 ball game. And the pitch taken for a strike. Aoki popped out his first time up. Counting up the number here, so the number of batters faced 180 consecutive by Tillman before surrendering that home run. That breaks the streak, longest active streak going. Now Jake Arrieta has the streak lead at 167.
A pretty impressive run by Chris Tillman, and he's always been considered a fly ball pitcher. He likes to work his fastball at the top of the zone, but he's been using it more as a weapon, getting weaker fly balls.
2-1 delivery to the middle. Machado up, hustles it over, and will get the out. Aoki retired. Visit Orioles.com/vote orange now. 2016 All-Star Game voting underway. You vote 5 times and select the O's as your favorite team. You'll be entered to win the All-Star Game jersey signed by the Oriole All-Stars. Vote at least 20 times, select the O's. You get a promo code for a buy one get one free ticket for the July series game that you pick against the Rockies. So vote now at Orioles.com/vote orange.
Yeah, pick me, he says.
Pick me. He raised his hand.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of reaction like that. Okay, all you guys who think you should be in the All-Star team, raise your hand. Pitch is taken for a ball. Smith, Manny Machado is the only one over there on the third base side, and they kind of had a stare down right there. He squared around and held it. Don't know if he meant it, but he sure held the bat there a long time.
Yeah, well, we're seeing more and more of that. Hitters going the other way, trying to be more consistent against the shift.
And he wanted that one, and he went after it and didn't get it. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Seth Smith. Smith against Tillman, 3-4-8 now. Manny stays at the shortstop position in.
Yeah, shortened up a little bit after the second attempt right there. And Manny can put some pressure on a player trying to bunt, forcing him to be a little too fine. One of the best in the business of making that bare hand play.
That'll be over towards the seats, and it'll be out of play. Smith last year almost exclusively used against right-handed pitchers. He hit .255, 27 doubles. He of course has the significant history of having played at Ole Miss as a backup quarterback and never took a snap. The starting quarterback was named Eli Manning. 1-2 is down low. 2 ball, 2 strike count. He certainly got to watch some pretty good football.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what a gig, right? Being the backup quarterback.
So he had to run all those offenses of all the opposing teams that played against Ole Miss. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Smith. 1 down, run in. Martin with the homer. 2-2 on the way, and a swing and a miss on a real nice 84-mile-an-hour pitch.
Yeah, the change finally shows itself. Great pitch from Chris Tillman. Well located as well. Wieters wants it outside. It stays on the outer edge until about the last 3 feet, and then you see it start to fade. And off the barrel, beautiful pitch from Tillman.
So Robinson Cano will stand in, 2 down, 2-1 ball game. Orioles on top. Cano flied out his first time up. He is one of the leading hitters on the road, coming in with a .381 road average, 3rd best. He's got an 8-game road hit streak going. 9 home runs, 24 RBIs, and 20 runs scored in 20 road games this year. 1-0 delivery. That'll be outside from Tillman.
Well, Cano, Cruz, and Seager have been a force. A 3-4-5 spot for this Mariners team, and a lot of the winning they've done on the road due to their productive offensive bats. Last night, all 10 runs driven in by 3-4-5.
Foul back and out of play this time. So Tillman comes back on him. A 2 ball, 1 strike count. Light rain has the drizzle is let up here. Hopefully it will stay that way. Tillman working quickly tonight. CANO not quickly enough. Steps out. Orioles full shift on here, although they don't play back. CANO's got enough speed to force the Orioles not to go too far back in right field. Scope catches a ball out there and on the grass and right. CANO can beat it out. Takes the pitch and it's there for a strike.
Nice breaking ball. Slows him down with the 76-mile-an-hour hook. The Mercedes pitch track, boom, dropping it in there on the outside corner. A lot of hitters just give up. I mean, for one reason, his curveball isn't really consistent enough. He doesn't throw it for strikes as often. A lot of hitters just take that pitch, put it in the back, and sit on his fastball. Another reason, it's just nasty. I mean, it has a great late drop. If he could harness the command of that pitch and have 4 or 5 quality pitches, my oh my.
Orioles 7-1 in the 8 previous starts Tillman has made. He's really kept the Orioles in games and put them on the board with a W. The 5-1 mark himself. 2-2 delivery. CANO will take that. Bounces. Did not go around. So a full count. 3 balls, 2 strikes. With a run in on the Martin home run and 2 down here in the 3rd inning. CANO, out of the 2009 World Championship New York Yankee Ball Club. He's been in the postseason 7 of the 11 years that he's been in the majors, and has played in 51 postseason games. Tillman with a 3-2. CANO goes after it, fights it off, keeps the at bat alive.
Now mixing up his pitch as well. Slows him down with a couple breaking balls. There, the hard cutter in on the hands, and CANO just showing the poise and patience as a hitter, not trying to get too big with the 2 strikes, just getting the bat head there to keep his at bat alive.
3-2 coming again. CANO takes and he's gone. Tillman gets the strikeout. That will be his 4th. All right, ready? Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Brooksy. Happy birthday to you.
Thank God he was born. Yeah, he's as good a person as he was a player, as we talked about earlier, and we know how a good player he is, and it just has a way of making people feel comfortable. Just so unassuming, you wouldn't believe that he had accomplished the way he's handled his success. It's no surprise that he's made home here. He's a treasure. He's a treasure.
Joe Walder talking about Brooksy on his birthday.
Yeah, Brooks Robinson has affected everybody he's met, and then probably a million people that he hasn't met. I mean, every time you talk to him, he makes you feel like you've known him forever. And yeah, a wonderful guy.
Yep, wonderful man. He's been active, very active with the Major League Baseball Players Alumni Association, and we're just so happy to wish him a happy birthday. We'll have more later on. Hope Brooksy's having a great night. Joey Rickard, and the pitch is taken outside. 2-1 ball game. Orioles on top. Rickard had a base hit his first time up. Machado and Jones to follow against Walker. Taijuan Walker, 16 and 13 major league career numbers at the age of 23. 2-2 this year. And Walker takes a little stroll in after that last call.
Now Walker, former first-round pick, so always considered a top prospect, and really, put up the big numbers through the minor leagues, just like he's supposed to do. But last year, when he got his call at the major league level, his first 9 starts were not very good.
Yep.
He didn't have the best command. He wasn't the strikeout pitcher that people were talking about, and there he's given another look.
Thought he had the K again. Iannetta was ready to throw the ball around. Scott Service with a tilted head.
Take a look at the pitch here. Late movement. Boy, that's a nasty pitch, and not getting the call. Working that outside corner.
3-2 in the air to left field. Aoki's there to put it away.
So anyway, Walker, first 9 starts, not very good. Some question marks about, maybe he can't handle the major league level. Well, his next 20 starts at the major league level, he was as dominant as they've seen. Had like 118 strikeouts and only 17 walks. And just really, put his name on the map as the guy that should be a top of the rotation starter, and he's there this year.
He was their minor league pitcher of the year, organizational pitcher of the year, 2011 and 2013. You talk about the fact he doesn't walk anybody. He is with a couple of pretty big names, one of 3 pitchers to make 4 starts with no walks. Clayton Kershaw, you probably heard of him, and Chad Bettis of Colorado are the only others who've done that. He's walked only 6. 0-2 delivery taken outside. Manny popped out his first time up. Machado with a 1-ball 2-strike count, 1 down. Infield plays into pull, not all the way around, and the pitch outside. Manny comes in 8th in average in the league. He is 3rd in home runs behind Frazier, CANO, and Trumbo has moved up there with those 2 for the lead. That is a strike at the knees. So Manny will leave reluctantly. 2 down.
And Manny kind of shaking his head, not liking the height of the pitch. Iannetta not moving his glove at all. He wants the fastball down and away. And Walker reaches back. That's 95. Hits his spot. How about the highest strikeout to walk ratio this season? There he is, leading the way with 6.33. Just putting up some incredible numbers this year as far as his strikeouts to walks. You mentioned the games without a walk. And you see the power arm and movement that he has.
Fouled away by Adam, who was robbed of an extra base hit. A fine play by Martin at center, his first time up. Walker's also become a ground ball pitcher, so he's found some sink in his pitchers compared to what he had last year. That'll be there for a strike, and/or he's just keeping it down. His ground ball percentage 50% this year. Last year was 38%.
Right. I think a lot of pitchers, especially young guys with strong arms, think they can just blow it by hitters.
That'll go to short. Marte will make the play, and a clean inning. 1-2-3 here in the 3rd. 3 complete at Camden Yards. This is game 2 of the 3-game set. Don't forget tomorrow's game, 12:30. Baseball is brought to you by the RAV4 Hybrid, all-wheel drive and unexpected performance. Visit buyatoyota.com. Brooksy being recognized on his birthday, the human vacuum cleaner, Mr. Impossible, and all those great years here with the Orioles. Orioles on top of this one by a score of 2-1. Tillman will work to Cruz, Seager, and then Lynn coming up in the middle of this order. Cruz, a strikeout victim, his first time up. Tillman will be outside to him. If you go back a ways, since 2012, Cruz has hit safely in 12 games here as a visitor at Camden Yards. 2 home runs, 10 RBIs over that span. Good off-speed delivery. Not good enough to be a strike, though. 2-0.
No, flip it up there. That's the pitch he needs to be able to throw for a strike, especially early in the count. One of those cheap ones the hitters aren't ready for.
Got that one to right center field. That's going to curl away from Jones. It'll roll to the wall. Cruz is on his way to second base. Throw in, not in time, sliding in, and a leadoff double, and the potential tying run on here in the 4th inning. Don't miss your final chance to take advantage of Birdland's best value family entertainment, the Junior Orioles Dugout Club. Membership options for kids 14 and under. You get a choice of 2 5-game packages, game tickets, and a whole lot more. And family and friends can get tickets starting as little as $6. So memberships are nearly sold out. Go to Orioles.com/dugout club. Seager with a walk, his first time up. Seattle had quite a night last night with runners in scoring position. Went 5 for 8. They are 0 for 1 in that category so far in this game. Each team now 3 hits. Seager will take the pitch down low for a ball. So Tillman, let's see if he can work around this inning. That leadoff man on. Cruz keeping an eye behind him on Manny Machado, who's cutting down his secondary lead. 1-0 delivery is there.
A good change there from Chris Tillman. Locking up a good hitter, catching him off guard. A lot of times I think Seager probably taking a strike here in this situation, but boy, it comes out of his hand looking just like the fastball. Nice arm speed on the change. About 10 miles an hour slower than that 4-seam fastball.
Here's the 1-1 delivery on the way. Breaking ball will be taken inside. For the Seattle team, they're hitting .234 with runners in scoring position as a team. That's 11th in the American League. As we mentioned earlier, the American League average is .255. So 21 points below that as a team, Seattle. 2-1. Cruz off second base, way inside, and a good snag made by Wieters on one that could have got away.
Yeah, it was. You better be able to react, much like a middle infielder, anticipate the bad throw. Wieters setting up down and away. Tillman yanks this one across the body. Quick reactions there from Matt Wieters.
So Seager gets it to the hitters, count 3-1. And that one's going to miss inside. So Tillman the walk. So the first 2 on. The Seattle Ball Club, they love playing on the road.
I'm telling you, Mariners on the road. Take a look at these numbers: 14-6. That's second in all of major leagues. Of course, first in the American League. The run differential is second as well. But 5.40 runs per game. 31 home runs, second in Major League Baseball. That's also first, though, in the American League, and then great earned run average at 2.85. See the bottom home record, 8-10. They're making all their money on the road right now.
14-6 on the road. 2 on, nobody out. Adam Lynn. And Lynn will take the pitch inside, and that's going to bring Wieters out. As Tillman working behind hitters here in the last inning and a half.
Yeah, it might be a mechanical thing. Looks like he's pulling balls, yanking them a little bit across the plate. Now Wieters trying to straighten him out. Finish towards the glove. Get that nose pointed right at the catcher's mitt. You see the 7 balls and only 2 strikes this inning.
Tillman has knocked down the hits per inning from last year from 9.1 to 6.9 for 9 innings. Got that strikeout walk ratio much better. That pitch will miss away. So he falls behind here 2-0 against Lind, who's a .333 hitter against him. He did strike him out first time up. Second base Cruz, first base Seager, and Lind the RBI chance. Tillman needs a strike here and a good one. Lind hitting only a .182 in these situations. Will foul that one off. Out in front, 2-1.
2-0 change. Nice pitch. Nice call by Matt Wieters, and Tillman executing it. Get back into the count a little bit.
So that day game tomorrow is going to be at 12:30. 12 o'clock goes extra. 12:30 on Masson. Tyler Wilson, Nathan Carnes, scheduled starters. So plan to be out of the office tomorrow in the afternoon. 2-1 delivery on the way, and that one is fouled back. So Tillman comes back on him.
I see Chris Tillman tonight versing all the lefties in this lineup. His pitch arsenal: fastball 66% of the time, a lot of curveballs 22%, and the 12-6ers. Surprised he's not gone to that slider cutter hybrid pitch a little bit more. The change 12% of the time.
2 balls, 2 strikes, nobody out. Looking for the double play, and that one's going to be fouled back. So Lind battling here. We said he is one of the hot hitters in the lineup. He's got the longest hit streak. He's got a 5-game hit streak coming in. During the streak, he is 6 for 20 now. 2 on, no outs. Two-two delivery. Lind, a ground ball down to first. It'll stay fair. So it's a productive out. Not exactly what he wanted, but it will move the runners up. Lind retired on the ground ball, and there are 2 in scoring position.
A couple good pitches right there from Chris Tillman, and he does finally go back to that cutter. Throws it hard, just enough late movement to get the weak ground ball to Davis. Get the first out of this inning.
See what Tillman does. You were talking about first pitch strikes working behind hitters. Only 6 out of 15 first pitch strikes have been thrown by Chris. And he's 0 for his last 9. Last 9 first pitches to hitters have been balls. 1 away. Not that one. Got it in there for a strike. So Iannetta had a base hit his first time up. Base hit here can score a couple. Iannetta's hitting only 182 with runners in scoring position. The Orioles with 1 down, play back. Cruz at third. Seager at second base. And the pitch taken away. Now, ground ball to either Davis or Alvarez could bring a play to the plate if the runner goes on contact and they think they got a chance.
Yeah, definitely. Buck likes to play the corners in. You see Pedro there. Chris Davis has been getting incredible reads, a little bit deeper than Alvarez. He has a real good first step over there at first base.
Here's the 1-1 delivery. Ooh, 74 and had him fooled.
Now this is pulling the string here. I mean, 12-6, and it hangs up there. The knuckle curve, and look at the finish. Unbelievable amount of rotations that ball has to bite that much at the end.
He gets ahead of him.
And now the infield gets sucked in.
Yep, ball and 2 strikes. Everybody moves in. Iannetta in the dirt. Wieters makes the stop on it, trying to get him to chase. 2 ball, 2 strike count. Chris has thrown 4 wild pitches and has hit a couple of batters. That breaking ball, that slider slurve pitch, sometimes will get in the dirt, skip away.
Yeah, that's a tough call there from Wieters, you know, because it is so unpredictable, that pitch. He spiked a few And he stays relaxed, though, and makes a nice block on that last one.
2-2 delivery on the way and down the line, heading towards the seats and out of play. A souvenir for the fans that way. And the count stays 2 balls and 2 strikes. Good battle underway here. This is the big at bat in the 4th inning. Orioles up by 1 base hit, could give Seattle a lead. Iannetta the job somehow at least get that runner in from 3rd. Tillman's job to prevent it. Two-two delivery again, down to 3rd this time. It'll be a foul ball. So 2 ball 2 strike count. 7th pitch of this at bat coming up. Not a big lead at 3rd for Cruz when the ball is delivered, because Alvarez is in, so he's only a couple steps away from 3rd base, and that holds Cruz pretty tight to the bag.
Yeah, Alvarez keeping him close over there, but when the infield was back, especially Machado and Scope.
That one up in the air, center field. Adam Jones will drift over. Runner tagging. Cruz will head in and will score easily. Runner will stay at 2nd base. Seager, and this ball game's tied at 2-2. Iannetta gets the RBI on the sac fly.
He worked for it too. Nice at bat by Iannetta. Chris Tillman is battling through, throwing everything he's got in the book, and Iannetta wins with the sac fly there.
So 2 down in the inning, a run in, and the potential go ahead remains at 2nd base for Marte. Iannetta picks up RBI number 10. Tell Marte hit into a fielder's choice his first time up. Alvarez will play in at 3rd. He has speed, will bunt if given the opportunity. Sure wasn't bunting there. Fouls that one back hard on a big cut.
Yeah, he's having a hard time laying off that high pitch. He's chased every high offering. Look at this one around his neck. Foul ball right off the top of Weeder's helmet.
Del Marte out of the Dominican Republic. He's only 22 years old. 0-1 pitch on the way, and he will foul that one back, and Tillman gets ahead of him 2 strikes. Marte last year played with AAA Tacoma, had an injury, and had rehab assignments with the A-ball, AA ball. Played 57 games with the big club, hit .283. A lot of a pro experience. One of those players signed young. 0-2 delivery. Off speed pitch will be taken outside. A lot of the players from Puerto Rico, Dominican, get signed at the age of 16. So they have a lot of experience in professional baseball if they make it to the majors at a very young age. That one's towards the middle. Machado's over. He's got it. Makes the running throw and records the out and saves a run. A run in, 1 hit, no errors, 1 left on. Our Chevy do-ups, Davis, Trumbo, Weeders in a tie game. mobile. Take a look at our Major League Notebook on our East Winds page. The Rays, 25 runs, 34 hits. First 2 games against Toronto. They're trying to sweep them in Toronto for the first time since July of 13. They have a 2-1 lead. Tampa Bay does first inning. Yankees have lost 9 of their last 10. They are 4-12 on the road. They've scored just 43 runs, 16 games on the road this year. Royals beat the Red Sox 3-2 first game doubleheader. Red Sox have a home run now in 18 straight games. Chris Young got one in the first game. Their franchise record is 19. They're just 1 away from that. And that's a day-night doubleheader, so they're just underway in second game.
Yeah, American League offenses are starting to pick it up a little bit. Red Sox going, Orioles there. Tampa's a big surprise. You know who's kind of helped spark that offense, though? Steve Pearce, up over 300 right now.
Playing regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, really surprised. Team built on pitching, supposedly, and finding the long ball. Strike called at third. Jerry Davis on Chris Davis.
So high fastball, and Davis getting a little over antsy there. That had went across.
1-2 delivery. Chris called out on strikes his first time up. Trumbo and then Wieters. Orioles trying to set up the rubber match for tomorrow. 2-2 delivery, and that'll be down low. Walker's walked none, struck out 3. Tillman 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. Orioles have 2 runs on 3 hits. So do the Mariners. M's have left 3. The O's 1. 3-2 pitch, high fly ball down the left field line. Aoki coming over in foul territory, puts it away, and Davis is retired. 1 away. That'll bring up the back-to-back home run men of the night so far, as Trumbo and Wieters did it in the second inning. 7th back-to-back home run ball game for the Orioles, and take a look at Trumbo's.
Now look, get me over breaking ball from Walker, and he is waiting on it. It's an 0-1 count, and he's just ready to hit, and he covers this baseball up over 400 feet.
That was the Trumbo rumble that you saw, the fan dancing in the seats. So we asked the question, what is the Orioles record for the most back-to-back home runs in a year? We'll let you fans percolate on that one. Just take a guess as to what you think it might be. 7 have been hit so far this season. 1-1 delivery on the way, keeping the ball down and away, and 2-ball 1-strike count.
Trumbo may have scared him right out of the strike zone.
Yeah. When he hits him, he can do that. Just the sound of it will scare you. Misses away, 3-ball 1-strike count. 6 home runs surrendered by Walker this season. That ball's up the middle, and another solid drive. Trumbo's 2 for 2.
Yeah, that swing and the flight of that baseball off the bat is what's in the dictionary as a frozen rope. This high fastball he gets on top of, and it is smoked back through the middle. Martin he didn't even move. He didn't come in and get that. He stayed in this position and let it come to him.
So that'll bring up Matt Wieters. Wieters had his 3rd home run following Trumbo's in the second inning. Matt will take it away. And the answer to the question of back-to-back home runs in a year is 16. It happened in 1996 for the Orioles. So that tells you just how high that number 7 is already. It's only May 18, and the Orioles have 7 back-to-back home runs, with the record being 16.
Yeah, this Orioles offense just 1 through 9, really a lot of power potential. Even spring training touted as one of the stronger offenses.
That one is in the air, deep to center field. Martin going back and up, and he can't get this one. Hits off the top of the wall. Trumbo's rounding third. They're going to wave him on home. Here's the relay throw to Iannetta. Not in time. Wieters with a double and an RBI, and the Orioles are back on top by 1.
Now Wieters putting some good swings on the baseball tonight. home run and his third double of the year. Nice base running by Trumbo. Great send by third base coach Bobby Dickerson. Martin came down with the ball earlier in the game off the bat at Jones on a very similar ball. This one eludes him, and fortunately Aoki backing up the play. See him run it down, and Bobby Dickerson recognizing that, tear him off the wall, and he sends Trumbo on his way to score easily.
So Wieters 2 RBIs in the game, 13 on the year, and a 3-2 lead. And taken for a strike. Pedro Alvarez grounded out his first time up. Matt putting the big numbers up from the left side of the plate. All 3 of his home runs and now 11 of his 13 RBIs have come hitting left-handed. The 0-1's going to break down and in, and a 1-ball 1-strike count. You know, the Orioles now 3 runs on 5 hits and a 3-2 lead. Alvarez, the shift on. Seager remains over by third, so Wieters just can't walk over there and steal a base. That is a knee-high strike, and the count will go to 1-2 on Alvarez.
As we kind of watch Walker pitch, you can tell he's going to be a very good major league pitcher. The big arm and quality secondary pitches, but the command is kind of what gets off a little bit. Yeah, he doesn't walk anybody, but you see many times on the fastball, especially, That is reaching back over across the plate to pull his fastball in, whether he's setting up away or in, just not hitting his spots as consistent as enough.
Mel Stottlemyre's the pitching coach for Seattle on this revamped staff this year. 2-2 delivery on the way, and that will be taken down low. And the count goes to 3 balls and 2 strikes. Well, Alvarez to be followed by Scope. Try and keep this inning going against Walker. As Pedro works it to 3-2. Seattle bullpen had a collapse in the last home series they came out of. They're well rested. That'll go to left. Aoki back. He'll haul it in, runner halfway. 2 down. Wieters remains at second base. Our PNC minor league report. PNC for the achiever in you.
Now take a look at Garrett Clevenger. No relationship to Steve Clevenger, who's now with the Mariners. 22 years old. He was a 3rd-round pick last season out of the University of Oregon, and he is a big arm reliever in college, and he averaged his junior year almost 15 strikeouts per 9 innings. This season dominating. 4-0 record, 1.99 earned run average. How about the last 8 games? 2-0 with a .93. So a big arm and having a lot of success right now in Delmarva.
Here is Jonathan Scope, runner at second, 2 down. Scope will take it outside. Orioles were 0 for 2 with runners in scoring position last night. They are 0 for 3 so far in this game. Orioles have one of the best numbers with 2 outs and runners in scoring position at 273. Scope on a swing and a miss. I was looking to see what the American League number was today. The average in the American League with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position is 238. It was actually higher than I thought it would be. The Orioles number well above that at 273. 1 ball, 1 strike count. Runner off second, ball in the air, left center field. Aoki over, and a sliding catch. All 3 outs recorded by Aoki, but an RBI by Wieters, and that brought in Trumbo. Gives the O's the lead. Orioles trying to celebrate with a win on Brooksy's birthday as they have the 3-2 lead out hitting the Seattle Mariners 5-3 so far. Tillman bunting, beauty, stays fair. It won't. And Pedro Alvarez makes sure. So not quite enough to keep it on the grass as Yoenis Martin get a home run. Will you do the next time up? Try and bunt.
Sure. Yeah, pretty good attempt right there. Maybe soft with it. See that little touch, keeping it in front of Alvarez, but just fading off the grass. Once it gets off the edge of the grass, kicks over the chalk line.
So an 0-1 count. Alvarez will stay in. Martin had his 6th home run, leading off the 3rd inning. That one off the fist popped up to short. Manny the read and the out. 5th inning. There's Tillman. He's worked the 45 innings in his previous 8 starts. 45 innings and 8 starts coming into tonight.
Yeah, Chris has gotten himself on a nice little roll. 5 consecutive quality starts. He's had 4 straight games with 7 strikeouts or more. So he's on his game, feeling pretty good about all of his pitches.
It's the first out. Pitch taken by Aoki. He has popped out, grounded out. He will keep Alvarez at third base in again. Someone who will bunt if given the chance. Tillman on a 4-game win streak. Tampa Bay, the Yankees, Oakland, and Detroit all wins in his last 4 starts. 1-0 pitch, and that will be taken up. Tillman in a real turnaround season, at least for the start of it. Not that he had a bad year last year, 11-11, but everything much better this year. Davis short. Hop! Hello! Right on the bag.
A nice play there by Chris Davis. Couple options he has, but he sticks to his first instinct, and that's to come and get it. Try to take this short hop away. He reaches out and stays through that baseball. Nice play. Doesn't let the glove get behind his body. A lot of times you'll see players with short hops, the glove actually retreats and gets behind their body so they can't see it. Here, watch Davis's glove go boom forward, keeping it in front of the eyes. Nice pick there by Davis.
So a chance for a 1-2-3 inning. Tillman did that in the first. Going to repeat it here in the 5th. Seth Smith, he has grounded out and struck out. Shift on against him, and the off-speed pitch will be up high for a ball. Talked about the difference of Seattle team at home and road. How about that batting average? They're hitting .218 at home and .271 on the road. That's an enormous differential for Scott Service's team. 1-0 pitch is taken for a strike. They average 2 runs more, almost 2-run differential between road and home. 1 ball, 1 strike count. And a big swing. That was a home run cut by Smith.
Good fastball, though. A little two-seam action there as it worked away from Smith. Yeah, he got big, bigger than we've seen him. He usually stays in control of that swing. He stays within himself.
.250 hitter here in this ballpark with a couple of home runs. 1-2 delivery on the way, and that'll go into the shift. Big hop. Stubbs got it to make the play, and that will do it. A 1-2-3 inning. Good job by Tillman as he protects an Oriole 3-2 lead. Is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by American Standard Heating and Air. It's their all-star sales event with up to $1,100 in instant rebates or 0% APR for 36 months. Utah Street, we're all long to deliver the long ball and have a plaque inserted in the walkway showing when you did it.
Have you seen my plaque out there?
I have seen your plaque out there, yes. Did you put that in?
No, I don't have a plaque out there.
Well, I've
never hit a home run on Utah Street.
I thought that's maybe why you put that in.
I should put one out there. Just make my own.
Just make your own. Go out there and drill a little hole.
It took 2 swings, but here it is.
Hey, that's okay. He hit it from shallow second. Young-Soo Kim grounded out his first time up, then Rickard at the top of the order. Walker's pitch will be taken down low for a ball. Tight ball game. Very much the opposite of last night. Seattle jumped out with a 10-0 win. 1-0 delivery on the way, and Kim with a big cut. Pitch stayed down low, foul tipped, and the count goes to 1-1. Orioles will be heading out on the road after the 12:30 game tomorrow. West Coast, LA. Angels fouled off. Angels, 2 more players went on the DL after the game last night. Daniel Now to the pitcher, Corey Rasmus. Both had strained groins, and now the Angels have 9 players on the DL. 1-2 pitch will miss. Evens the count up. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And that's the thing. A lot of teams going into a season, they kind of keep their fingers crossed and hope they don't get that injury bug, because if you do want to have success, you're bound to go through some injuries, and the depth of your organization gets tested. And the guy you call up, fill in and kind of hold down the fort until the injured guys get back. But man, the Angels, they're getting beat up here early on.
Ooh. 2-2 on Kim. Speaking of the injuries, Yvonne Gallardo, the Oriole pitcher, lined up for a simulated game on the 27th. And if everything goes well and he gets to the simulated game, then they ought to be able to, Buck Showalter said, have a couple of rehabs and be ready to go. So Kim will draw the free pass. The Orioles get those precious leadoff walks. This copyrighted telecast presented by authority of the Orioles may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Orioles. In the game, that is the first walk surrendered by Walker in just the 7th in the 43 innings he's pitched. Bunt too hard. Play. Walker throws it away. You could see that coming. He did not set himself. Tried to hurry that and threw it into center field as Rickard forced it.
Yeah, young player making a young player mistake right there. Now a lot of people saying this guy might be the best athlete on the field. We'll see Kim hustling down into second base, but a little stumble. Good backup. Nice bunt. Get it down on the grass. But there you see, just too quick. You know, rushing the play. He's thinking about trying to get that double play instead of getting the force out. Keep the runner out of scoring position. Yoicks and away. There it goes. Gotta have your feet underneath you when you make that play. Maybe even have enough time to take a shuffle step and get that energy going towards your target.
Yep. Didn't get it done. So now the Orioles have runners on at first and second base. First error of the game charged to Walker. Our AL League leaders brought to you by Coons.com. Over 2 million vehicles sold and counting.
Team average with runners in scoring position. The leaderboard, Red Sox leading the way with that .305 batting average, and they're putting runs on the board like going out of style, averaging almost 8 runs per game. But the Orioles there with a .292 batting average.
Machado will have a fair ball play. He's going to go to first. So the runners will move up. Iannetta thought about going to third, decided not to. So that's the swinging bunt.
Take that, Jonathan Scope, right up on the top step to congratulate him. Nice job moving the runners over. They had fun. The full cut. Manny going for the 3-run homer, but he gets the sac bunt down instead.
Though the runners move up, second and third, only 1 away. Orioles have a 3-2 lead. Kim at third. Joey Rickard at second. The infield will be moved in, and here's Adam Jones. Flied out grounded out. Kim does not have to go, of course, here with only one away. Let's see if Adam, base hit here, could score a couple of runs.
Now, these are the type of situations Scott Coolbaugh talks about, staying with a big part of the field, about driving the ball into the gaps. If you make that pie small towards the middle of the field, give yourself a better chance. If you get into one mode or the other, like all pull, you're pulling off pitches in the outer third, and pitchers will expose you.
381 with runners in scoring position. That ball's going to go to short. The runner's not going. Marte up and will record the out. And there's one very big out. Got a couple of big moments here for both these teams with scoring opportunities in a tight ball game. The fourth inning, Seattle had the first two on with nobody out, only got one on a sac fly. Now here in the fifth inning, the Orioles get the first two on. And they're trying to get somebody in, and Chris Davis will try and do that. Davis has been called out on strikes, and he has flied out. Now, of course, the shift will be put on. The defense can play back. Davis, a very solid 310 with runners in scoring position average.
See both teams not much success. Runners in scoring position, none at all. 3 for the M's, and the O's 0 for 4. Chris Davis, though, big numbers on the year. Runners in scoring position at 310. 3 homers, 15 RBI. Right man, right spot here.
One big at bat and open this game up. Here's the 0-1 delivery. That'll be inside. Walker has a very high number in these situations, 290. Opposing hitters with runners in scoring position against him. One ball, one strike count. Trumbo and Wieters have had home runs. Wieters another RBI and a double. Davis will take the pitch up high. Ionetta's sac fly. And the home run by Martin accounting for the Seattle runs. At Showalter's Ball Club here, 16-7 here at home. And wrap up the homestand tomorrow. 2-1 delivery, and Davis fights it back.
Now Walker working that fastball up in the zone to Chris Davis, getting some swing throughs up there, and really hasn't moved off of that spot.
Orioles, Red Sox, as far as wins at home are concerned, they are 1-2 in the league. In fact, in the majors, Red Sox 14-8 at home. 2-2 delivery on the way. Pitch will be taken inside. Ionetta taking a look down to third base as Kim being walked down the line by third base coach Bobby Dickerson. There's nobody there with a shift on.
Yeah, he can get down there quite a ways. Seager slid way over in the shortstop position. Ball kicks away a little bit. Good opportunity to push one across.
Here's the 3-2 delivery on the way, and there's one that almost did. Walk surrender to Davis. Chris continues among the top 10 in that department. There's 2 walks in the game by Walker. And here comes Trumbo. Trumbo with the home run, number 12 in the second inning, and then a base hit and scored. Wieters driving him in now as the bases loaded with Kim, Rickard, and Davis. 2 down. Walker's delivery. It does get away, and a run will score. Ionetta went up trying to haul it in, couldn't get it. Kim crosses after drawing the leadoff walk, and the Orioles have a 4-2 lead.
There you go. Only able to get him across the plate. Takes the wild pitch. Here the cutter just getting away, losing complete command of that one. Ionetta trying to snag it. Kicks off the top of the glove. You see easily able to score.
Wild pitch, the first of the year for Walker. Now second and third. 1-0 delivery. That'll be outside. 2-0 on Trumbo. So Walker becoming his own worst enemy here in this inning. A leadoff walk to Kim. It scored. An error on his throw to second allowed Rickard to reach. And now this wild pitch gives the Orioles a 4-2 lead. 2-0 delivery will come inside. It will catch the corner. And the count goes to 2-1.
Trumbo was ready to pull the trigger on that inside cutter. Pretty good pitch, well located. Might have started just off the inside corner, and see on the pitch track just worked itself back on the plate.
2-ball, 1-strike delivery on the way. Trumbo ground ball to short. Marte over to first, and that will do it. The Orioles will pick up 1, scoring it on the wild pitch. A couple of walks helped out. Birthday, Brooks Robinson, 79 years old today. A great legend. The Hall of Fame plaque. 23 seasons in Major League Baseball, over 2,800 games, 267 batting average, 268 in the home runs, over 1,300 RBIs, the MVP, 1964, a 15-time All-Star, and no position player has ever won more Gold Gloves than Brooks Robinson's 16. And the retired number 5 here at Camden Yards.
Yeah, it's the human vacuum cleaner. Unbelievable. I love that statue. You can see his feet already starting to get ready. The right heel's up off the ground.
Yep.
Ready to explode for the ball. Good stuff.
Yep. Orioles on top here, and CANO fooled on that one. Mike Montgomery in the bullpen. CANO is flied out, called out on strikes. Tillman's done a heck of a job throughout the order, but especially in this middle that so devastated the Orioles in the ball game last night. CANO, Cruz, Seager. 0-1 pitch. CANO will foul it off, and an 0-2 count. CANO now 14 for 33 off Tillman with 2 home runs. The Orioles chance to even it up here for the game tomorrow. 12 o'clock, those extra. 12:30 the game on Masson. Tyler Wilson against Nathan Carnes. CANO will take the pitch up, and the Orioles head out on the road. Kind of an unusual road trip, starting in Anaheim to take on the Los Angeles Angels, then on to Houston, and then on to Cleveland. 1-2 pitch on the way, and that one bites the dust. 2-2.
Yeah, Tillman trying to be a little too fine with CANO there. He's made some good pitches. CANO certainly a very dangerous hitter. Want to get it close enough to the plate and keep him trying to keep all your pitches more competitive. You know, get him to flinch at him, not just take right out of your hand.
2-2 delivery is fouled off. Tillman with the 89 pitches thrown so far. Notice this season how easy that delivery has been maintained, even when he gets up over that 100 pitch count. 2-2 delivery. CANO takes that one down the line, and it will be a foul ball. Just missed. Ooh. CANO was running right into that. He thought that was going. He thought it was a fair ball.
Yeah, pretty impressive swing there. Lefty takes an inside pitch and almost keeps it fair. Maybe an inch or less. That ball wasn't hooking at all, and that means pretty good swing there.
Yeah.
Not getting around the baseball at all, staying through it, and that pitch he hit might have been in off the plate.
Just remains a 2-ball 2-strike count on CANO. Cruz and Seager to follow here in the top of the 6th inning. You got Tillman where he puts this one. 2-2 delivery. CANO puts one to center field. Jones going back 400 feet away, up, and he makes the catch. Adam Jones bouncing off the wall. 400-foot mark. CANO's retired, and the bullpen applauds.
Well, obviously very familiar with his home park. He gives one quick look, and he isn't intimidated by the wall at all. Actually catching it inches away from the wall. Nice little pose at the end, and he's all right. Good concentration here from Adam Jones. It's a catch and then contact. Boom. Nice play by the Gold Glove center fielder. Tillman certainly appreciating it.
So tit for tat for Adam Jones and LEONYS Martin. Each center fielder's caught one of the others team's fly balls deep out there off the wall. So Tillman with good defensive help. One down, 0-1 count. Cruz a double, a run scored 4th inning. Sac fly by Iannetta brought him in. Cruz 1 for 2. So he's had 4 hits, 5 at bats. 0-1 delivery in the 2 games. That'll catch the outside corner. He didn't think so. And a 2-strike count.
Tillman will take that. A little help there. Breaking ball might have broke off the plate. Cruz certainly doesn't like it, but that might give him an inch or 2 on that outer edge.
To the count. Outfield deep, straight away on him. Nelson will take the pitch way up high. And a 1-ball 2-strike count on Cruz. Division leaders battling here at Camden Yards in this series. Orioles will be making a trip to Seattle later. Swing and a miss. 92 away. 5 strikeouts.
Nice pitch by Tillman. Wieters going right back to that outside corner. And he puts it right in the same spot. And the breaking ball was called a strike. Nice call by Wieters. Well executed by Chris Tillman.
Tillman watches as the defense behind him shifts. Alvarez will go into shallow right field, the third baseman. Seager up. He has drawn 2 walks. The only 2 surrendered by Tillman, picked up by Kyle Seager. Seager is 3 for 15 lifetime off Tillman. And that off-speed pitch is going to miss up high for a ball. So again, Tillman here in the 6th inning with a chance to retire the side in order. He did that in the 5th. Seager will take that down and away, and the count goes to 2-0.
Seager not a lot of success off Tillman, but Tillman being very careful. Work the perimeter.
2-0 delivery. This can come from the discussion held with the pitchers catchers and pitching coach on the first day. Who's the hot hitter in the lineup? You spot him at Seager.
Oh yeah.
So you remember that. And even though he might not have great numbers off you, you know he's a hot bat in the lineup, so you take some precautions. 3-1.
Yeah, definitely. Timing is everything. Find the hot hitters and try to avoid them or stay away from what they're hitting.
Yeah. Seager will take it, and he is on, so he's drawn all 3 walks that have been surrendered by Tillman in the game. On Sunday, June 5, don't miss the season's next Kids Run the Bases event. Orioles will be playing the Yankees on June 5. After that game, kids 14 and under get to run the bases, so make it a memorable day at the ballpark. Go to Orioles.com or 888-848-BIRD for info and tickets. Tillman reaching the 100 pitch mark. He had 107 in his last outing. This will be the 6th consecutive game in which he has thrown 100 or more pitches. Adam Lynn, 2 down. And Lynn will take a strike on the outside corner. 0 for 2. Brad Brock in the bullpen for the Orioles. Lynn has struck out and grounded out. He's the one who's got the .333 average coming in against Tillman, but 0 for 2 so far tonight. The 0-1 will go towards third. Play will go by Alvarez to first, and that'll do it. No runs, no hits, no errors, 1 left, and 1 fine defensive play. Adam Jones on Robinson Cano for the first out of the inning.
Three-game set against the Mariners, and Adam Jones gets into one. But LEONYS Martin, he robs him on the wall. Walker appreciating that play. That's back in the 1st inning. But in the 4th inning, Matt Wieters tests Martin again. This one kicks off the wall after a Trumbo single. He scores all the way from first base. Matt Wieters with a big game. Home run and the RBI double. Trumbo with a home run as well. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. Well, Walker out of the ballgame. Take a look at his pitch comparison. 79% fastballs tonight. Did not have command of the breaking ball, or didn't feel good about it. Didn't go to it much at all. And he's out after 5 innings, 5 hits and 4 runs given up. And he'll give way to Mike Montgomery. Power lefty out of this Mariners bullpen. His fastball give 94-96. Good breaking ball, has the over the top curve and a slurve pitch, a change to go along with it. And pitching well in his 13 games, picked up a win of 2.29 earned run average with the 17 punch outs in 19 2/3, holding opponents down to just the 182 batting average.
Mike Montgomery, a starting pitcher throughout his career, now working out of the bullpen. Matt Wieters will put the silo shot up. Iannetta comes back and puts it away, and Wieters, who had a homer and a double, is the first out here in the 6th inning. Mike Montgomery last worked against the Angels on the 15th. worked an inning, had a couple of strikeouts, 1 hit against him. He made his first career relief appearance on April 4 against Texas. Retired 6 out of 7. As we said, he had always been a starter. He came over from Tampa Bay in the Erasmo Ramirez deal back in March of 2015. Here's Alvarez. He has grounded out and flied out. Pitch will be taken down low. Orioles have a 4-2 lead in the ball game, out hitting the Mariners 5-3. Each team has left 4 on base. Neither team's been able to do anything with big hits with runners in scoring position in the game, as both teams have put up overs tonight. Orioles 0 for 5, Mariners 0 for 3. But Trumbo, home run number 12. Wieters followed, home run number 3. And then Wieters, the RBI base hit in the 4th. And the run scoring on a wild pitch in the 5th. And the Orioles have the lead. Montgomery's pitch fouled off at the plate.
Alvarez starting to get more consistent playing time. Buck Showalter still a little unsettled about the third base situation. Flaherty's been over there. LEONYS. Alvarez's turn tonight.
Trying to get production out of it as well as defense. 3-2 pitch on the way. Alvarez had a reach. One jumped up on him. Foul ball at the plate. 2 very good bullpens. Orioles, of course, are number 1 in ERA in the league. Seattle's number 4. The Seattle bullpen, strikeout bullpen. Orioles not so much so, in the middle of the pack in strikeouts. 3-2 delivery again off the end of the bat and foul back.
You see the good fastball, 94 right there. Really gets on top, drives it downhill. 6'4". Mike Montgomery, and you mentioned him coming up through the minor leagues as a starter, but just inconsistent with command, and the quality of all his pitches kind of moved him into the bullpen.
And the Orioles will get a walk. 1 away and 1 on here in the 6th inning. Caption this. Check out @Masson Orioles on Instagram and provide your best caption for this photo. 3 commenters will win a meet and greet with Chris Davis. Watch every O's game with us. The Green Turtle Sports Bar and Grill. Hang local. Here's Jonathan Schoop. He is struck out and flied out. Jonathan now 0 for 5 in the 2 games against Seattle. Schoop against Seattle in his career has had just 3 hits in 30 at bats against Seattle pitching. Orioles would love to add 1 or more here in the bottom half of the 6th. Left-hander's delivery will come way inside and send Iannetta out to the mound.
Yeah, Iannetta's been really good for this rotation. A lot of experience back there. Keeps guys going in the right direction. People saying that he's a big reason for a lot of the success this year, especially with the young arm like Walker. Get the most out of him, and you see his veteran leadership right there. As Montgomery gets a little out of whack, and he slows him down a little.
2-0 delivery on the way, and that one's going to go in the dirt. That'll be a wild pitch, and that will put a runner in scoring position. Wild pitches have mattered in this game. Or scored a run off it in the 5th, and now get a runner in scoring position here in the 6th.
Oh, actually caught him on the knee.
Yeah, it's a hit batter.
Wow.
Well, the Orioles did a couple on that way. Nolan Reimold is going to come on as the pinch hitter for Kim, with the left-hander on the mound. So Reimold up. Runners on at first and second base. The Orioles with a chance here in the 6th inning, put up some big runs. Montgomery's pitch will be taken up high for a ball. for Reimold against the left-handers, 276. Looking for their first hit with a runner in scoring position tonight. And a ground ball to the middle. They got it. Base hit. Alvarez will be held as playing shallow as Martin. And he will get it back in, and the Orioles have loaded the bases.
Nice piece of hitting right there by Reimold. Pulling the hands inside. With the barrel on the baseball, shooting it right back through the box. But look at how quickly Martin gets on that ground ball. That's nice body control right there. No breakdown at all, and his posture stays tall. And controls the bat head for a nice single.
Peralta's up in the bullpen. Now they will talk both pitching and defense with the bases loaded, and here's the chance for the Orioles to really blow this thing open. Stottlemyre, pitching coach, with one down. So Montgomery will look for the ground ball. Try and get a double play here. Rickard tough to double up with the speed he's got. Bases loaded, one out. Lind at first base is going to play in front of the base runner. Ground ball to third, fair ball. There's one, and there's two. So on one pitch they get the double play as Rickard hits into it right down to third. Seager was right there at the bag. So a relatively easy double play turn. Orioles unable to convert a bases loaded and one away. That ends the inning. Orioles on top 4-2. Orioles baseball on MASN, brought to you by Ocean City, Maryland. Let us show you a good time in Ocean City, Maryland. Book now at OCOcean.com. By Chesapeake Employers Insurance, a workers' compensation insurance company. And by PNC Bank, for the achiever in you. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick, as we go to the seventh inning. Orioles up by a score of 4-2. Nolan Reimold will stay in the game in left field with Kim out, and Flaherty has taken over for Alvarez at third base. Tillman working down to third. That's a fair ball. So Iannetta on his way to second base. First pitch seen. He ends up with a leadoff double here in the seventh. He's been a going concern for Seattle. A single, double, and an RBI sac fly.
Yeah, he's been working right field first two games of this series, but they're hooking one down that left field line. Well, surprise attack.
And Chris Iannetta on. Brad Brock has been up in the Orioles bullpen previously. And if the Orioles need to make a change, it can be done relatively quickly here. Here is Del Marte. Marte has hit into a fielder's choice, grounded out on a fine play made by Manny Machado. In at third base, Flaherty. No bunt there. And Marte with a 1-strike count. There's Brad Brock. Don Cheedy, the bullpen coach, with him. Pitch count up, but still looking pretty good on the mound. Chris Tillman. 0-1 count. Does bunt, or tried to. Little hatchet job right there. He tried to get on the top of, but fouled it right straight down. 0-2.
Yeah, he's been swinging at some high pitches the whole ball game, and why not make a bunt attempt at a high pitch up over his head? Trying to surprise the Orioles defense there. Helping Chris Tillman out.
Nick Vincent in the bullpen. 0-2 the count. So Tillman trying to battle through the 7th. Marte, then Martin. 0-2 delivery by Tillman. Tried to get him again to go after one up high. Wouldn't do it. And a 1-ball 2-strike count.
Well, you know, you can work the top of the strike zone. A couple different weapons Tillman and Wieters can use here.
Del Marte 1-2. Marte again reaching. May have to visit the local hardware store for a 3-step stool to get up there.
Yeah, he almost when he loads to get ready to hit, it's almost like he's preparing for that high fastball. Really kicks his hands up. And that's where he's aggressive, right up there around the chest neck area.
Iannetta off second base. 1-2 delivery. That'll even the count up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tough game for all of the pitchers involved. Game tight. There have been runners on base. Opportunities for each team. Well, they've pitched under some pretty good pressure. 2-2 delivery on the way, and a swing and a miss. 6 strikeouts for Tillman, and that is how he will conclude his night.
Tillman going with the changeup here. A few in this at bat to Marte. Well out in front.
Tillman will get a great hand. Pitching change brought to you by Jiffy Lube, where participating stores now do brake services. Stop in and let Jiffy Lube inspect your brakes today.
And in this game, hot. 5 consecutive quality starts. 4 straight games of 7 strikeouts or more, and he started the game on fire. Controlling the heart of the order. CANO going down on the inside fastball. How about a little cut fastball to get Cruz? And there the high changeup to get Marte. Tillman another solid performance. Take a look at the PNC inside the numbers here. Chris Tillman's pitch arsenal comparison. This is what he does. He mixes up all of his pitches. Good command of the fastball tonight. 6 1/3 innings, only 2 earned runs given up. Brad Brock now into the ball game. Know his arsenal: power fastball, power slider, turbo change.
Martin, runner at second base, shows bunt. Pitch will be taken away. Flaherty is charging in. He did not offer. Matt Wieters wanted to check with Jerry Davis down at third base.
Take a look here. Looked like there was a little bit of an offer. Maybe pulled it back though before the ball got into the zone.
He's had a home run and he has popped out. Tillman watching now as Brock will try and help protect the 2-run lead. And that at second base, held by Manny Machado. 1-0 delivery. He didn't hold up on that one. Brock has pitched in 5 previous games against Seattle. He's given up no runs and 1 hit in 6 1/3 innings. 7 walks and 7 strikeouts in those games. LEONYS Martin, 1-1. Heat, and he couldn't catch it.
That probably looked like about 120 miles an hour there. Back-to-back changeups to start the at-bat off, and then 94 at the top of the zone. Right at his eyes. It might look like an aspirin tablet coming across the plate.
1 ball, 2 strike count, 1 down. And he went after another one. Martin just outmatched in that at bat. 2 down.
Chases once, go right back there, and he does. Well executed. Wieters wants the fastball up. He wins that battle. See that 3/4 release and almost the rise effect. By
That'll bring Aoki up now with 2 down and a runner on at second. Brock well rested, appeared against Detroit on the 14th, got a save. 2 innings, 1 run on 2 hits, and had 3 strikeouts in that game. Aoki will take the pitch away. He is 0 for 3, popped out, a couple of ground ball outs. 1 hit in 8 at bats in the 2 games against the Orioles. Aoki has not had an at bat against Brad Brock. One-0 delivery. Missed inside with it. Now we'll go to 2-0. Mariners get this order turned over here in the 7th. See the big lead Iannetta can get at second base. 2-0 delivery. Again, that heat too much at 94.
Yeah, and it's not just the velocity, it's the deception of the delivery. You get that split second and not being able to pick up the baseball, and here it comes. Freight train, 94 miles an hour. Your timing's got to be perfect. Get on that fastball.
Here's the 2-1 delivery to him, and fouls it off the other way. Again, unable to get in front. Now the Orioles Rays game that was rained out April 9 has been rescheduled. A separate admission day-night doubleheader on Saturday, June 25. All tickets marked April 9 will be honored for the 105 game. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Right there. Just couldn't pull the trigger. Side actually strikes out here. Brad Brock gets a couple of them. A runner left on at second. 7th inning stretch time. Orioles up. Right now, the Orioles have the 4-2 lead. Gary Thorne, Mike Bordick here. We send our best wishes out on Brooks Robinson's birthday as a player with the Orioles. What did Brooksy mean when you put on the Oriole uniform and you get to know him?
I think pretty much everything. He kind of encapsulates everything that the Orioles represent, you know, and he's such a great ambassador. And I think that's why people in Baltimore are such fans of baseball. Really why this is a baseball city. You know, they love their football, obviously, but Brooks Robinson kind of set the tone. He's a great man, a great baseball player, a Hall of Fame player. But the people of Baltimore love him because of who he is as a man. You know, I think most of them really care less about his baseball stuff and just love being around him and what he's meant, you know, to Baltimore for so many years.
Yeah, well put. I agree. Even though I knew of him and knew him working through the Alumni Players Association a bit, I had no idea the impact he had on the city till you get here and you get to see it and hear it from the people. Pitch will be taken down low. The Orioles have a 4-2 lead. Bottom half of the 7th inning. Machado, Jones, and Davis. Machado is 0 for 3 in the ball game. 0 for 6 in the 2-game set. And he will put that one into the seats on the far side and out of play. So Tillman's line is writ for the night. 2 runs, 3 hits, 6 1/3, 3 walks, 6 strikeouts. 2-1 delivery on the way, and Tillman with a chance to win his 6th game and be 6-1 if the Orioles can hang on to the lead. Mike Montgomery trying to hold the Orioles and give his ball club a chance to get back. 2 managers with division leaders, Scott Service and Buck Showalter. 2-2 delivery off the end of the bat to short. Marte. 1 down. Follow Orioles baseball live with the MLB.com at bat app. Stay up to the moment any moment. You get live video highlights, game day, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone or tablet. Follow the bird wherever you are. Adam Jones 0 for 3. Adam also with an 0 for 6 so far in the 2 games. Pitch will be way up high. One-0 count. Walker gave up the 3 runs, 5 hits over 5, so the 2 starters remain the pitchers of record in the ball game. Not where he wanted to go with that one. Adam talking to himself as he backs away.
Yeah, pretty good changeup though. Montgomery known for his fastball and the curveball. We've seen inconsistencies with that curve, but that change is playing pretty well off the fastball. And a big arm thrown in the mid-90s and then pulling the string 84 on the last couple changes.
And another one fought off. That one got a piece of Ionetta.
And he loves it. Look at that.
I do. Can you foul another one off me, please?
Yeah, give me one more.
1-2. One-two delivery by the left-hander, and that will turn him around. A couple that have been up and in and spun Adam Jones around.
Well, now he's got to start targeting the outside corner. Many times pitcher will brush you off, and especially with Adam Jones, they start working away.
2-2 delivery came in. That'll be knocked down. Seager makes the play. 2 down. Let's take a look at our Major League Notebook and our senior circuit. Sorry to see Freddie Gonzalez is gone as manager of the Atlanta Braves. 60-year-old Brian Snitker looking to win his first Major League game. He's the interim manager. He had a lifetime in the Braves organization, like the last 10 years at AAA. Comes in as an interim, a chance to have a Major League win. Pirates look to complete their first 3-game home sweep of the Braves in 22 years. And Cincinnati's run differential a -71, the worst in the majors. Atlanta second with a -70. Braves have a 2-0 lead in their ball game tonight.
Yeah, I know. Sad story about Freddie, but quite a story about Snitker being in that organization. It started back in the 70s, actually. He was a player, catcher, first baseman, and then stayed in the organization as a manager, managed all through the minor leagues, was manager of the year a few times, actually coached in the big leagues, and now to actually be the big league manager, very good feeling for him.
Called up from AAA. How about that? Chance to get a win. He is not, at this point at least, expected to be a candidate for manager. That ball grounded into the shift. Laid on the outfield grass, and that will do it. The Orioles are retired in order here in the 7th inning, so it remains a tight ball game with the Orioles up 4-2. Miller Time brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, the Orioles, great defense all year long, actually leading all of baseball fielding percentage. Chris Davis taking one away down the line. Very efficient footwork as well. Reaching out, catching out in front. How about the Gold Glove center fielder Adam Jones with a great concentration. Taking one away, literally on the wall. Great play by Adam Jones. Chris Tillman loving that one.
Orioles 17-2 and they have a lead after 7. We go to the 8th inning of this ball game with the Orioles on top 4-2. And Adam practicing his swing in center field. Brad Brock on the mound, came on, got 2 strikeouts in the 7th inning. Pitch will be there for a strike. This is the 8th. Want to make short work of this. You got 2, 3, 4. Smith, CANO, and Cruz. You don't want to flop that order over again. 0-1 count and a foul straight back. 0 for 3 in the ball game, 1 for 6 in the series for Seth Smith, their right fielder. Six strikeouts Tillman, 2 for Brock. Walker had 3 against the Orioles, and that's all the strikeouts recorded against the O's. 0-2 delivery to him in the air, center. Adam Jones puts that one away. And we hope you'll join us again tomorrow. Wrapping up the 3-game set. Could be a rubber match. Tyler Wilson will take the mound against Nathan Carnes. Our coverage on Mass at 12 o'clock. O's Extra presented by Southwest. Game coverage 12:30. All the access you need right here on Massing.
That should be a real good game. A couple quality young pitchers. Nathan Carnes stepping up right now since moving over to Seattle. 3 wins, 3.51 earned run average. And how about Tyler Wilson taking off since landing that starting spot? A couple wins with a 2.93 earned run.
Robinson CANO 0 for 3. Going to go down the line and left, fouls it back. Peralta's been up twice. Joel Peralta in the bullpen. 0-1 count, 1 away. CANO and then Cruz here in the 8th inning. High heat at 93.
Boy, not getting a good look. Yeah, Brad Brock chases that first pitch changeup that was about a foot off the plate, and this one a good foot up and out of the strike zone.
CANO 1 for 1 off Brock. 0-2 off the glove of Jonathan Scope into foul territory. He's going to try for 2. Throw off balance will not be in time. Good heads up base running by Robinson Cano. It will be a double.
Brad Brock with the quick pitch changeup, and Cano somehow getting the bat head on the baseball. Jonathan Scope trying to cut it off. Maybe could have taken a deeper angle. Kind of got himself a little in between right there. But how about the veteran base runner Cano hustling on into second base with that read.
So that's obviously a big hit. Puts a runner on at second base. 1 out. 2-bagger for Cano. And now you've got Cruz in that dangerous home run swing. Struck out twice, doubled, and scored. And the pitch will be taken away for a ball. Cruz a 1 for 2 off of Brock. You know, Scope would like to have a shot at that one again, but you only get 1. 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position for the Mariners. Great pitch away. Had Cruz pulling off that.
Yeah, beautiful slider. First pitch slider as well, and Cruz just kind of eyeballing it, taking it. See Jonathan Scope out there messing around with that right hamstring.
1 ball, 1 strike count. Runner off second. That should be taken away.
Boy, that is coming in hot.
Jonathan Scope, that right leg. Here's the play.
So going after the baseball there, and then I think after it kicks off the glove, kind of awkwardly has to get up and go after it.
2-1 delivery, fouled off. So Cruz with the 2-ball, 2-strike count.
Still stretching that out.
Yeah.
Maybe a little cramp in there.
Orioles will hope that isn't something that's going to act up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cruz will take it away. Leans in, watches. So 3-2 with 1 down. Closer Zach Britton in the bullpen. Seager, who's drawn 3 walks in the game, is the on-deck batter. Dangerous spot.
Yeah, pretty good numbers there for Cruz in a 3-2 count. 462 batting average. Got an open base, which you don't want to put the winning run at the plate. So tough decision here for Brock and Wieters.
3-2 delivery. He's on. So Cruz will draw the free pass. And now Seager will come to the plate. So Seattle making it tough here in the 8th inning. Seager, Tillman worked around him in the 3 at-bats he had. Seager picked up all 3 of the walks Tillman surrendered. Now against Brock, 0 for 1. Only time he has faced Brad Brock. 2 on, 1 out. And the pitch is going to be down low for a ball. Seager just .216 with runners in scoring position. Brock working behind the hitters here in the 8th inning. Machado will move over to keep Cano a little closer at second. 1-0 pitch, and that's going to miss. And the count goes to 2-0.
Well, kind of betting on some over aggressiveness there from Seager. A couple changeups, and he's not biting on it. So the patient's already drawn the 3 walks off Tillman. Get in the zone a little bit.
Joaquin Benoit has joined Peralta in the bullpen. been a good baseball game, but a tough one. It's been a grinded out game right from the beginning. And that's going to be a base hit into right field by Seager. CANO will be held. Rickard will get the throw into the cutoff man, and Seattle's loaded the bases here in the 8th inning with one away, as Seager's been on all 4 times to the plate. So the sacks are full with 1 out.
Well, better be happy with the single there. Falls behind 2-0, and clean line drive single. The double play stays in order.
And that will bring Buck Showalter to the mound. So he'll make the sign. And Zach Britton will come on to do a little extra duty here in this game. Bases loaded in the 8th inning, 1 down. Oriole closer coming on with the Orioles up by 2.
Take a look at his pitch arsenal. The fastball, his dominant pitch 92% of the time. And it is moving all over the place with great velocity. Occasionally he'll flip up that curveball. 1.76 earned run average, 10 saves in his 10 opportunities, 18 punch-outs, only 3 walks for Britton, holding opponents down to just the 120 batting average, and of course that 71% ground ball percentage. To get a ground ball here.
Little extra work. You bring him in, try and get more than just the 3 outs. Bases loaded, 1 away. Dae-Ho Lee is going to pinch hit for Lynn. This is the first we have seen of the elder rookie, if you will. He is a rookie, but he's 33 years old. He played 11 years in South Korea, 4 years in Japan, and has had a very good start to his major league season here. And the pitch will be taken outside for a ball. So Lee up against Britton with 1 out and the bases loaded.
Yeah, and Britton's certainly has to be careful here. Now, we don't know a lot about Lee, but we do know that he's picked up over 300 home runs over in Japan in that KBO league.
1-0 delivery to him. That is there for his strike. Britton has not had to record more than 4 outs in a game this year. He wants to get 1 more than that here in this one. 1 ball, 1 strike count. CANO at third with a double. Cruz second with a walk. Seager the single at first base. Here's the 1-1 delivery, and a great tailing pitch away. Pulled away from it, and 1-2.
Yeah, great movement. 96 miles an hour, and the head pulls off the baseball just when he thinks he's on it, and there you go. See the eyes looking down that third base line. Got to stay on a Britton fastball if you can.
Zach 1-2. Left-hander's delivery is swung on and foul tipped. Wieters coming up trying to make a play on that.
Yeah, Wieters, the cat back there, takes one hop, and look at Wieters jumping right up, stepping on home plate. Late movement that Lee just gets enough of.
Again, the 1-2 delivery. And Lee will fight that one off. On top of it, right straight back. There's Zach Britton against Seattle. This will be appearance number 10, 3 as a starter. He has an 0-1 record, 6 for 6 in saves against Seattle. Facing a bases loaded Cano, Cruz, and Seager. 1 out, 8th inning. Third time on the 1-2 delivery, and Lee will go down swinging. Big strikeout for Zach Britton.
Yeah, crowd loving it. Great pitch here. Look at him filling up, down and away with 96. All of them moving to the same location. Finishes him off with a little extra movement at the bottom of the zone.
Well, they talk about how they will work against Iannetta. Iannetta is 1 for 3 off Britton. He's had a bat in this game with a single, a double, and a sac fly. Britton getting down to the number 7 batter here in this lineup. Outfield in a bit, center and right. 2 away. Iannetta first ball hitting. Jonathan Scope has got it. Makes the play, and Britton gets it done. No runs on a couple of hits, no errors, and with the bases loaded and 1 away, they can't get anybody in. 4-2-0s. Towson, drive of the game.
That Trumbo sitting on the breaking ball, and he gets the cookie, and he covers it. Over 400 feet on that bomb.
Drive of the game brought to you by Lexus of Towson, the area's #1 luxury dealer. Come see why at lexusoftowson.com.
Take a look at Joel Peralta's pitch arsenal. The veteran right-hander signed a minor league deal in spring training. Come over, well, he made the team, and now has been a big part of this bullpen. The fastball 50%, has the split finger and curve to go along with it. 18 games, picked up a win with a 4.70 earned run average. 21 punch outs. Always had the ability to strike hitters out, but he's also had the ability to give up the long ball. You see 5 home runs already this year. Orioles would like to tag on a couple more runs here in the 8th.
So Peralta on. See Zach Britton, Buck Showalter looking at the lineup card now and who's going to be coming up 9th inning. Marte, Martin, and Aoki do up, but you can bet they're looking to see who's left on the bench and who might be up against the left-hander. First, though, the Orioles. They're in the bottom of the 8th inning, leading it by a score of 4-2. Mark Trumbo, a couple of runs scored. The home run is 12th. Base hit in the 4th inning would come around on the RBI double by Wieters. Trumbo and Wieters back-to-back home runs in the 2nd inning. Orioles got another big run. A wild pitch. Lee stays in, plays at first base for Lynn. 0-1 delivery, and Peralta's pitch taken outside. These two have faced one another previously. Trumbo 1 for 6 off Peralta. Full shift on against the power right-handed bat. DHing tonight for the Orioles. 1-1 the other way, foul. Little discussion also about how is Jonathan Scope, as Richie Mancel's the trainer, talked with him between innings, and you just saw him talking to Buck. He was grabbing the back of that right leg after he slipped on that play.
Yeah. Definitely don't want to make something bad a lot worse.
Yeah. 1-2 delivery, reached for, just foul tipped. And the count will stay at 1-2. Will game 3 tomorrow be the rubber match of this 3-game set? I'm going to find out pretty soon. Whatever it is, we'll be on the air at 12 O's Extra, 12:30 for the ball game on Masson. Tyler Wilson, Nathan Carnes, scheduled starters. Peralta with that funky high elbow comes to the set. 1-2. And the foul tipped, held on to. Strikeout.
Yeah, Peralta uses a lot of deception. The high leg kick, and looks like arms and legs coming all over the place, but he's got a short arm. Kind of gets on hitters, and there, fastball away, sneaking by Trumbo. First out.
And they'll bring up Matt Wieters. Matt, a solid game, his 3rd home run and an RBI double, 2 for 3 in the ball game. Seattle will put the shift on against him. Wieters 8 for 13 with a home run off Peralta. Those have to be some of the most damaging numbers against Peralta by a hitter.
Yeah, I would think so. Of course, Matt Wieters and all those numbers when Peralta was with the Rays.
0-1 count. He'll go after one, foul tip it into the mitt. Up and away at 77 on the off-speed pitch.
Yeah, he's a split finger. He loves the split finger. He almost throws that. Once he gets in a groove, he'll throw it more than his fastball. A good one there as it worked itself away from Wieters.
Peralta, the unofficial leader in holds in the majors with 11. It's not an official stat, of course. 0-2 delivery on the way, and that'll be up. 1-2.
Peralta's been around a while. He's 40 years old.
Pretty good arm.
Yeah.
40. To 30. There's that quick pitch fouled off. We talk about so often where the pitchers who come to a set position normally, but when nobody's on base, they don't come set at all and try and catch you on the timing.
Yeah, surprised that doesn't happen more, but I think, you know, pitchers and injuries, they talk about a repeatable delivery. Sometimes when you speed up like that, maybe your arm can drag, puts more stress on your elbow. You'd think it'd be done a little bit more just to offset the timing of a hitter.
And there it is again. Pitches outside. As you saw there, Peralta kind of falling down after he delivered. It may offset the timing of the pitcher too, right?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, they get out of the groove that they're used to pitching in.
And when you're 40 years old, what the heck? Well, I'm going to try this.
At that age?
Go ahead. Go ahead. It's okay.
2-2. Wieters waiting on it, and he'll go the other way down the line. That one is headed into the corner. Yoki going over, reaching, can't get it. It'll take a bounce to the wall. Wieters on his way to second base. Matt, a night at the plate, 2 doubles and a home run, 3 for 4.
I'd like to see that from Matt Wieters. He pulls a home run onto the flag court, hits a double off the center field wall, and then finds some grass down the left field line. Aoki kind of shading over in a left center gap. It's a high fly ball. With the positioning off a little bit by the Mariners outfield. Nice effort there by Aoki, but Matt Wieters standing on second base.
First 3-hit ball game of the year for Matt. So the Orioles with a chance to add to their 4-2 lead with 1 away. He's hit number 7. Ryan Flaherty will get his first at bat. He will move Marte, the shortstop, over behind the runner at second. And Flaherty takes the pitch down low for a ball. Orioles out hitting Seattle 7-6 in the ball game. Flaherty 2 for 6 off Peralta. .1-0 delivery, got it in. That's going to be a base hit the other way. Aoki will pick it up. Wieters will stay at third, and Flaherty's on with a base hit. The Orioles cover the corners in the 8th with 1 away.
Nice piece of hitting there by Ryan Flaherty, staying inside, shooting it the other way.
Boys are potentially a big run or 2 to be added here in the 8th inning. Jonathan Schoop hit by a pitch, flied out, struck out. He is 0 for 2 off Peralta. Orioles are 2 for 8 with runners in scoring position. 1 out. Double play depth in the infield. Ball in the air to right. Wieters will tag up. Smith not deep, will make the catch. Here comes the throw to the plate. They let it go. Wieters is in. Ball not handled by Ionetta. Not a strong throw by Smith. Sac fly, RBI Schoop. 5-2.
Take that one. Big insurance run right there. Nice job by Matt Wieters, putting the head down and going. Smith, not the strongest arm out there, and the ball kind of dies out in front of home. Then Ionetta leaves it. He's worried about Wieters sneaking in there behind him and forgets the baseball. Catch the ball first. Possibly could have caught it a little bit deeper, maybe moved back towards home plate, get a little depth, and that would have taken him closer to Wieters and not have to use that big swipe tag.
So Jonathan Schoop picks up an important RBI to extend the lead to 5-2. Schoop gets his 23rd run batted in. Flaherty moves down to second. And a ball down the line of right field by Nolan Reimold. And that will end up in the seats and foul. Reimold picked up a base hit, pinch hitting in the 6th inning. There's one of those plays where if the rules not changed, you probably get a collision at home plate. You would have had the plate being blocked under the old rules.
Yeah, waiting there. Probably waited even longer and taken the hit just to make sure they catch the ball first.
So what baseball wanted to prevent by having to clear that baseline shows up on that play. Catcher to catcher. Flaherty on at second base. 0-1 delivery on the way. Reimold will take it down low. 5 runs, 8 hits for the Orioles. 2 runs, 6 hits for Seattle. Seattle's not scored since the 4th inning. The Orioles have spread them out. Had a couple in the 2nd, 1 in the 4th, another in the 6th, another here in the 8th inning. Peralta with a 1-1 delivery, and Reimold will take it outside. Peralta's been touched up for a run on 2 hits so far here in the 8th inning. Mike Montgomery gave up a run on a hit in 2 innings worked, 1 walk, a hit batter. 2-1 delivery, in the dirt. Stop made by another.
Well, Nolan been very impressive. You know, the limited playing time, not getting the consistent at bats on a daily basis, and still every time he gets in there, quality at bat after quality at bat, comes up with a big hit.
He sees a lot of pitches.
Yeah.
Three-one count. Flaherty off second. Reimold. That's a Reimold rip right there. 3-2.
Yeah. So you swing at 3-1 count. Gets his fastball. Let it fly. Don't get cheated there. He didn't.
Three-two, two away. Reimold will keep it that way. Back into the seats. Peralta will take a walk behind the mound. Figure out what to throw here on the seventh pitch of the at bat.
Yeah, working hard in this inning.
Peralta also last worked against the Angels on the 14th. 3-ball, 2-strike count. Reimold pops it up first base. Lee will put it away. But the Orioles had an important run. Sac fly by Scope, scoring Wieters, who doubled. 5-2-0. Baseball on Masson is brought to you by Southwest. Transparency, low fares, nothing to hide. And by visitannapolis.org. Create your moment at visitannapolis.org. Gary Thorne and Mike Bordick. It has been a cool evening here at Camden Yards for the Orioles. 3 outs away from a win. Their 24th of the year. They can move back to 10 over 500. Zach Britton coming out for his 11th save, which would tie him for first in saves in the American League. Ketel Marte leading it off. Marte 0 for 3 in the ball game. Flaherty in at third base. Adding that run makes such a difference. You got to get that extra runner on base to give yourself a chance to get it tied if you're Seattle. 21,167. 21,167 on hand tonight. The 2-0 delivery to him, taken for a strike. Bit ironic that the last time Zach Britton had a 5-out save, it was against Seattle, in Seattle, August 10th, 2015. 2-1 delivery on the way, and that's what he's trying to get done here. As he came on to get a strikeout and a ground ball out to end the 8th inning.
Pretty nasty here. 95 miles an hour, and the bottom drops out just in front of home plate. So many hitters shake their head when they were on the pitch and go back and look at the video. So where'd that movement come from?
Chop foul. 2-ball, 2-strike count. Tillman on line to get the win. Will go 6-1 if they preserve it. Walker, Seattle starter, 2 and 3. And Britton would be 10 for 10 in saves, 11 for 11. 2-2 delivery on the way, and another one that's going to get chopped foul.
You see those chopped balls off Zach Britton because of that late movement. So many hitters just swinging on the top of the baseball, and you see those infield hits. If Britton does get hit, it's either an elevated pitch that doesn't move or so much movement that it's chopped on the infield.
2-2 to first. That's going to be a foul ball. Just missed. Another one just off the line in this game of inches. Got a couple down that right field line. CANO had one earlier.
I think that was right off the end of the bat. The way it kicked, hit the dirt just in foul territory, and next thing you know, it's on the wall. Just shot right over there.
Britton ready, the 2-2 delivery, and that'll be inside. Tillman gave up just 2 runs, 3 hits over 6 in the third. 3 walks and 6 strikeouts. Brad Brock worked an inning. A walk, 2 strikeouts, 2 hits. And now Britton trying to finish it up. The 3-2 delivery, and Marte fights it off. Marte, a switch hitter in this lineup. These numbers: 275 right, 272 left coming in. Three-two delivery again, and again fought off.
See Ryan Flaherty over at third base. He's even with the full count, still playing in on the grass, and because of that chop ball, his first move instinctually kind of in, trying to take away that infield single.
It'll be the 11th pitch of this at bat. 3-2. That's down the line and fair. It's going to go into the corner. Marte is on his way to second base. Reimold will get it in. And there you see the importance of the so-called tack-on run in the 8th inning. Even with that leadoff double, doesn't bring the potential tying run up.
Britton doing them a favor right there with that breaking ball.
Center fielder, number 12, LEONYS.
Hit number 7 for Seattle. That'll bring up Martin. Leonys Martin struck out, popped out, and delivered his 6th home run in the 3rd inning. 1 for 1 off Britton. Flaherty again in at third. They got to get somebody else on. They were going to try it with that, and he pulled back, but it was a strike anyway.
Did he pull back or fall back? I think that breaking ball kind of shocked him out of the hand. Was it? Look out! Woo! Comes back in and catches the inside corner. A little surprised with the curve.
Yeah. Seattle 1 for 9 with runners in scoring position. And ball down low. Runner started, goes back. Wieters keeps it out in front. 8 have been left on base by the Mariners. 5 of those have been in scoring position, including the bases left loaded in the 8th inning. 1 ball and 1 strike. And there's another breaking ball that ties him up. 1-2.
Good pitch, locking up the lefty. Think But he gets geared up for that fastball. Ooh, Buckler a couple times in this at bat.
Britton, the 1-2 delivery, and a check swing gets away. Runner will move up. So Marte goes over to third base on the wild pitch.
Spiking the fastball. Don't know where it's going to go when that ball gets down in the dirt.
Marte at third. Britton needing the out here. Nobody out in the top of the 9th inning. Martin, a 2-2. There's the first out.
Good one there. Get it up a little bit on the plate. And then just disappears down and in the inside corner. Big fastball. 96 miles an hour is just by Martin.
One away. Aoki has an 0 for 4. 1 for 9 in the 2 games. Flaherty in at third. A 360 slashing swing for a strike.
Yeah, he's working himself out of the box on the left side. Almost starts running. He's moving towards first base. Left side of the infield has to be aware of that.
Aoki waiting on the 0-1. That's going to get away. Runner will stay. And let's take a look at you visiting MASNsports.com. Care First to vote for tonight's Care First Fearless Player of the Game. Live fearless with a name trusted for over 75 years. Care First, Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Well, Wieters could be that guy. Home run, a couple doubles. Trumbo as well. Home run, single.
Those 2 back-to-back big offensive nights. Fouled off. So Britton will get ahead of him, a ball and 2 strikes.
Don't forget about Tillman.
Yeah, Tillman with a 6 and a third 2-run 3-hit performance.
Yeah, he's on a nice roll right now. Good confidence in the clubhouse when he takes the bump.
Could be his 5th win in a row. If he gets it, he'll be 5-0 at home. 1-2 pitch on the way. Okay, a little roller. Runner stays. Britton turns, guns it, and just got him. That look at third base almost cost him an out. Aoki can run.
Yeah, he was down there. Surprised Britton, and he had to cut loose one of his A fastballs to Chris Davis to get the out. Take a look here. A quick look at third base, and then fires it. Whew. Close play.
Wow. Franklin Gutierrez will come on to pinch hit for Smith. Franklin Gutierrez with a runner at third base. 2 down. Britton looking for the save, and the Orioles 1 out away from the W. Gutierrez first ball hitting. Britton's got it, bobbles it, throw, and that's the game. And Zach kind of lifts his head up. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left on base here in the 9th inning. The Orioles come away with a 5-2 win.
And take a look at this play here. Another number beat into the ground, and Britton he just smothers it right there. Not wasting any time to get the 3rd out. Not as easy as he makes it look sometimes.
And a 5-2 final. Tillman wins at 6-1. Walker the loser 2-3, 11 for 11 in saves now for Zach Britton, and the Orioles are 24-14.